Chapter 81. Cool, this is the joy of earning points. The gap in the stone pillar was like taking a knife and cutting it on the thigh, peeling off a piece of flesh, and the blood spurted out and flowed all over the ground in an instant. The difference is that the blood is black and very sticky. Warn. The host is entering an area that is highly contaminated by level 6 weirdness. There are a large number of low-level weirdnesses wandering around in this area, looking for life forms to devour. There are currently high-level weirdos that can capture the existence of the host through their keen sense of smell, and the host is currently locked. Host, please cherish your life and escape quickly. Brother, it's been 3 hours since I came in. Is your early warning a little too late? Shen Geging was still wondering why the system didn't show anything even after moving around in the strange space. At this moment, the system's warning finally sounded. It's just that the delay is so high. We really have to rely on early warning. I'm afraid the body won't be completely cold. And this time the weird, not coming out, is already level 4. The system prompts that level 6 will be level 6 in 4 years or it will be level 6 now. It doesn't make much difference. At present, not coming out is the highest level of weirdness that Shen Jie has faced since activating the system. The characteristics of weirdness have existed in weirdness body since the first level. The difference is that the ability of the characteristics only has obvious effects after awakening to weird space at level 2. For example, Shen Jie killed the black cat, Silent, by mistake. At that time, it was a level 1 weirdo and didn't even have a weird space. In addition to having no sound, the effects of its characteristics were not exerted at all. If Shen Jie kills Silent and does not let it be swallowed by the system, then the characteristics of Silent will be transferred to the new level 1 weird body. When the weirdness reaches level 2, the ability of the weird space to combine its characteristics can produce a more powerful characteristic ability than ordinary level 2 weirdness. For example, the strange car and the intangible. The former's strange space has no more impact besides pulling Shen Jie into an uninhabited space similar to subspace. However, the invisible, weird space ability is an ability that combines characteristics, allowing the invisible, weird space to make half a building transparent. Although Shen Jie has not encountered level 3 weirdness or level 3 weirdness with special characteristics yet, he doesn't know what effect the special weirdness below level 3 will have. However, through past experience, it can be inferred that the ability of the strange space is closer to the characteristics. And the current situation is even worse, because Fuchu has been alienated to level 4, which means that it is in a state of fully awakening characteristics. Black blood was still flowing through the gap in the stone pillar. Seeing the black blood quickly flowing towards him, Shen Jie calmly moved a step to the side, then squatted down, took out his lighter and pointed it at there was blood. Tisk, it's not flammable. There was regret in Shen Jie's tone, and he was not afraid that this thing could really ignite, cause a fire, and burn him altogether. Putting the lighter away, Shen Jie raised his right hand and pressed the control button on the mysterious energy protective suit. When he got closer to the black blood, he saw the numbers on the display screen of his right arm beating, which meant that the black blood was also mysterious manifestation of energy. I'm not in a weird belly, am I? Shen Jie glanced around, looking at the weird and depressing environment. If his thoughts were directly transmitted into the unexitable belly, it would indeed be possible to only get in but not get out. Oh, if he was really in Weird's belly, there was still a way to get out. It was just a bit nauseating, so Shen Jie simply didn't think about it. Shen Jie avoided the black blood flowing on the ground, approached the stone pillar, put away the gun, and took out the butcher's knife pinned to his lower back from the protective suit. Ha! Shen Jie yelled, and he raised the knife and slashed. The blood is condensed to guard the secrets of the sky, and the knife is hidden in the sleeve. The ice is released and the rain is nowhere to be found, and the heart is as calm as water and the body is like a ship. Look at my cold glance. Shen Jie jumped up, leaping into the air, condescendingly cutting down with all his strength, without hesitation. The sharp butcher's knife cut off a large piece of wall, shui, skin, Ru from top to bottom in an instant, and then more black blood spurted out. Shen Jie changed direction and continued to chop with the knife. His idea is very simple. If there is a certain monkey's teaching plan in the weird belly, Everyone in the Celestial Dynasty will know what to do if he is swallowed by the monster. Turn him upside down, and don't be afraid of being weird without spitting him out. Within a few minutes, the stone pillar, which was originally more than 1 meter in diameter, was cut into a skeleton by Shen Ji's new longmen sword technique. The point is, there is really a skeleton inside this stone pillar. A white bone-like steel bar, connected from the floor to the ceiling. After removing the flesh, covering the bones, black blood flowed all over the floor, 2 to 3 centimeters thick, and it was sticky when you stepped on it. A thick layer of yellow magic protective clothing was applied to the feet. On the second floor, Shen Jie felt as if his feet were hung with 10 kilograms of sandbags, and it was a bit difficult to move. Pli City at this time, in the dim passage ahead, there was a faint sound like a frog stirring, or some kind of swallowing sound. Shen Jie picked up the assault rifle, looked forward through the thermal imaging scope, and found a dark red thing in the dark shadow. Judging from the shape, it is a dog-like creature that walks on all fours. Weird, Shen Jie realized that only one kind of creature would appear in this kind of place, and that was the strange thing after alienation. However, he did not intend to leave just like that. Instead, he held the butcher knife tightly and violently slashed at the skeleton in front of him, cut it off. 1 knife. 2 knives. I don't know whether it was the sharpness of the butcher's knife or the effect of Shen Jie's 1.27 times the strength of an ordinary adult male. With 2 knives, the frame broke. Boom! In an instant, the entire underground parking lot shook violently. The surrounding stone pillars collapsed one after another, and the ceilings in many places also collapsed. Ice. The swallowing sound in front became louder and louder, and then a canine monster that was at least 2 meters long and covered with a thick layer of silt rushed out of the darkness, or in other words, a dog like silt. There are a dozen of them. There are more than a dozen weird dogs. If we capture them all, will that guy Li Shang change his name to my adoptive father? Shen Jie looked at the black mass of level 1 weird dogs in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. The next second, invisible, plus, silent, slipped away. Hands can't stand up to 4 punches. A good tiger can't fight a pack of wolves. 1 or 2 weird ones are enough. Let alone a group of weird dogs that appear right away. Shen Jie turned invisible and retreated outside the black blood, trying to distance himself from the sneaky dogs rushing towards him, but he ignored a serious problem. Cunning dog. The sense of smell is naturally very keen. So a situation similar to that in the garbage room occurred. Although the group of sneak dogs could not see Shen Jie and stopped in unison, they captured his movements through their sense of smell and kept staring at the area where Shen Jie moved. Once Shen Jie's mental energy is exhausted, they will pounce on him without hesitation. Warn. The host is in a highly polluted area of level 6 weirdness. There are a large number of low-level weirdnesses wandering around in this area, looking for life forms to devour. Dozens of them can detect the presence of the host through their keen sense of smell, and the host is currently locked. Host, please cherish your life and escape quickly. Shut up, I'm not blind. Shen Jie also paid attention to this group of strange dogs. They were level 1 strange dogs. Although there were many of them, they were still at the stage where they could be killed by firearms. Just letting it go is obviously not Shen Jie's style. Stepping out of the water against the shaking ground, Shen Jie picked up the nozzle of the freezing device and sprayed it on his feet, freezing the blood mud on his feet into ice cubes. He then touched the ice cubes hard with his feet and smashed the ice cubes into pieces. Then, he took out a canister of deception, opened his mask, and took a deep breath. He felt refreshed, and most of his mental strength was restored. Although the combination of invisible plus silent characteristics cannot completely prevent the sneaky dog from discovering itself, maintaining the status can at least make the opponent lose its aggressiveness. After that, Shen Jie planned to take advantage of the fact that the sly dog could not see him and launch the attack first. Fire Escape How Fire Extinguishment Manual Version. Shen Jie took out 2 Molotov cocktails, poured his mental power into them, and started the silent throwing. Phew! 2 Molotov cocktails were thrown into the group of sly dogs, and the fire spread instantly. Although the weird dogs no longer feel pain, The burning of the flames requires these weird dogs to consume a lot of weird energy to heal. The treacherous dogs made strange swallowing sounds and tried to escape towards the flames. But how could Shen Jie give them a chance to run out? At the moment when the sea of fire was ignited to incinerate the treacherous dogs, the shadows had already stretched forward. Disable invisible plus silent and change it to no movement. Crowd control. Although it only lasts a few seconds, as long as the flames can engulf the treacherous dogs and ignite their bodies, it is enough. A few seconds later, Shen Jie's mental energy was exhausted, and he felt dizzy again. The entire underground parking lot was shaking violently. In his eyes, it was like riding a roller coaster. Shen Jie quickly took a few sips from the can of magic energy to replenish his mental strength, and at the same time, the dizzy feeling also dissipated. I face. Shen Jie, who lost the protection of invisible plus silent, instantly became the target of the group of treacherous dogs that lit the fire. Shen Jie picked up the gun and fired while retreating. Then he took out an explosive grenade and threw it at the group of sly dogs. Boom! Fragmentation grenade. Throw it. Bomb. Throw it. Throw the Molotov cocktail. At this time, Shen Jie didn't care about economy. He threw all the projectiles on his body and then fired with the rifle. This wave cannot solve this group of weirdos, and Shen Jie will be in danger. Without the support of Feng Chengshou and other combatants, Shen Jie could only rely on himself. Under the throes of Shen Jie's quick weight loss method, he instantly lost more than 10 kilograms. Various throws greeted him, and the burning corpse was blown up. A series of kill prompts sounded. Shen Jie suddenly felt like he was playing the illusion of leveling up by defeating monsters in the game. The host successfully kills the level 1 weirdo, and is rewarded with 50 system points x 50. The host successfully kills the level 1 weirdo, and is rewarded with 50 system points x 50. The host successfully kills the level 1 weirdo, and is rewarded with 50 system points x 50. The system prompt sounded a total of 13 times. In just a few minutes, 650 system points were credited to the account. However, this is only a kill reward. Whether to sell the level 1 weird corpse, price, 200 system points. You still need to ask, sell? Shen Jie rushed to the corpses of the strange dogs and began to sell the corpses to the system one by one. 13 level 1 strange corpses, 2,600 system points. Including the 771 system points Shen Jie accumulated in the past half-month, there are now a total of 4,021 points. You'll get rich in just one wave. This is the joy of racking up points. If you rack up 10 more waves, you'll be able to get through the card pool directly. Shen Jie was in a good mood and wished he could give him another wave of level 1 strange monsters. Then, I face. As if hearing Shen Jie's call, several ugly and terrifying strange dogs appeared in the collapsed area ahead, like melted sludge. Well, Shen Jie admitted that he shouldn't be high, because now he had no choice but to go up with a gun and fight hand-to-hand with a butcher's knife. The weirdness here seems to be free of charge. No wonder Buju can grow into a level 4 weirdness in just a few months. It is estimated that situations like this will not be uncommon in the future. As the strangeness is caused by the alienation of animals, Shen Jie guessed that after this strange incident, the higher authorities will start to deal with the problem of the pet market. Otherwise, every time a strange incident breaks out in the pet market, a high-level strange one will appear, and no matter how many elite agents lives there won't be enough. I face. Several treacherous dogs made disgusting swallowing sounds and rushed towards Shen Jie. This time, Shen Jie did not run away invisibly, but stood still and waited for these treacherous dogs to approach. 15 meters. 13 meters. 10 meters. At this time, a treacherous dog has already rushed into the range of Shen Jie's invisible realm, but he cannot take action yet. He must wait for an opportunity to catch all the treacherous dogs. There are still 20 canisters, but these are much more important than grenade bottles, so Shen Jie must accurately control the consumption of mental power. 5 meters. 3 meters. Shen Jie turned sideways and whipped his leg, and kicked the leader of the sneaky dog hard on the head. It felt like he had hit a sticky sandbag. The sly dog tilted its body and collided with the sly dog next to it. At this time, all the other strange dogs entered the range of Shen Zhe's invisible magic realm. The strange dog in front of him opened his mouth and bit into Shen Zhe's leg. Invisible and mysterious realm. Collapse. At the critical moment, the sound of shattering glass was heard from below several treacherous dogs, and then the next second, they fell from the floor. At this moment, the last two stone pillars in the underground parking lot also collapsed due to shaking, and the entire underground parking lot collapsed. Seeing that Shen Zhe was about to be buried by the collapsed ceiling, he took advantage of the state of the invisible realm to use his collapse ability upwards again. Then, the sneaky shoes charged up and jumped suddenly. Shen Zhe walked through the collapsed ceiling and felt his eyes blurred, and the invisible treacherous realm was lifted. However, he was surprised to find that he did not appear in the dark yellow office building before, but came to outside the building. The dark night sky, the dark red full moon, the deserted streets, the rusty old cars, and the high-rise buildings that look like a doomsday wasteland. This is Dongyu Village? Shen Zhe glanced around and found himself standing in the middle of a dilapidated street. It has only been a few months since the strange incident broke out. How come it has become like a wasteland? Or, I am still in a maze that I can't get out of. These are just illusions? If this is Dongyu Village, then where is the building wrapped in black mist that was seen in the meeting video? Shen Zhe looked around, but did not find the strange energy building. That means that you are still trapped in the maze. Just when Shen Zhe was trying to find any clues from the surrounding environment and buildings, he suddenly heard a woman's scream coming from the dilapidated building directly in front of him. Survivor? Agent? Chapter 82. Fusion of the Strange, Blood-Clothed Strange Dog? On the second floor of the dilapidated building, old newspapers and book pages covered the windows tightly, preventing the dark red moonlight from penetrating into the room. The narrow space was pitch dark, with only a faint flashlight shining in the corner from time to time, accompanied by the slight sounds of rummaging for things and suppressed sobs. There are more than a dozen people hiding in this room. Some of them are residents of Dongyu Street who were involved when the strange incident first broke out. Some of them are residents who later ran back to Dongyu Street and wanted to take away valuables from home. The original number was much larger, 40 or 50 people, but after more than a month, only a dozen of them were left. After experiencing a series of events, these people also understood what they were facing, especially those residents who had been transferred by the Special Policy Department and sneaked back. Their intestines were green with regret. Many people here have been driven out of their minds by fear. They never thought that one day they would see monsters that only appear in movies with their own eyes. The reason why these people gathered here and did not do something extreme out of fear is because they still have hope. This hope comes from an elite agent of the Special Policy Department. Standing by the window in front was a thin woman with short hair wearing a black camouflage uniform specially made by the Special Policy Department. She leaned against the wall, opened a corner of the newspaper with 2 fingers, and checked the situation on the street. The 2 soldiers responsible for looking for food have not heard from each other for almost 10 hours, and no communication equipment can be used in the strange space. It is estimated that the situation is in danger. The woman's name is Fang Mingyue, and she is an elite agent in Beijing City. As a person from the headquarters, Fang Mingyue's strength cannot be underestimated. When the headquarters decided to send elite agents to Dongyu Village to solve this strange Level 4 incident, Fang Mingyue volunteered and went to Yuzhou with Mr. He. After contacting the agents from the 3rd Southwest Division who came to provide support, Fang Mingyue was dissatisfied with these people's grinding and inaction, and only knew how to discuss and discuss again, so she met with Mr. He and another detective from Beijing City. Together with the team members, they led the team into the strange space. After entering the strange space, Fang Mingyue not only lost contact with Mr. He, but also did not even appear in the same position as anyone in the team. It was a terrifying, depressing, dark underground space. No matter how hard Fang Mingyue tried to find a way out, she would only end up in the same place. With further exploration, Fang Mingyue felt more and more that the situation here was worse than imagined. This is not the first time she has entered a strange space to deal with strange things, but she has never seen such a bizarre strange realm. No matter how she goes, she will eventually return to the starting point. Fang Mingyue tried to make some marks on the wall, 1 day, 4 days, 10 days. Even though he had been very economical about eating the dry food and water he brought with him, he still ran out of resources. Fang Mingyue, who had been without water or food for 2 days, was already in a daze. In the end, she went crazy and wanted to blow up the entire underground parking lot. As a result, she came out. But it was not appropriate to say that she came out. After crawling out of the collapsed ruins, she found herself in a long abandoned neighborhood. However, according to the information given by the Yuzhou branch, although Dongyu village was not as good as other main urban areas in Yuzhou, but it can be considered a third-tier level, and it is impossible for such a building to have been abandoned for more than 10 or 20 years. While exploring the abandoned neighborhood, Fang Mingyue met a soldier from the Yuzhou branch. Through talking with him, he found that according to the time of the Yuzhou branch, this soldier entered the mysterious space a month ago, but I have been in this strange space for 3 months. Fang Mingyue suddenly realized that this strange space was not only chaotic in space, but also in time. In the process of searching for survivors, they met more survivors and fighters, which further confirmed this guess. If you want to leave the strange space, you can only find the rules and weaknesses of the strange space, but the chaotic space and time make there no rules at all here. As for weaknesses, Fang Mingyue has not seen the owner of the strange space so far, or in other words, she simply does not dare to look for the owner of the strange space. Because just the huge number of low-level weirdos here makes Fang Mingyue feel creepy. How many? Dozens? No, one night, she saw hundreds of strange creatures of all kinds wandering the streets, looking for life to devour. The scene was like 100 ghosts walking at night, and it made her shudder every time she thought about it. With this number of weird things, aside from a previous level 4 weird incident, I am afraid that the total number of weird things solved by the headquarters would not be as much as the fraction here. After that night, Fang Mingyue no longer expected to leave the strange space alive. All she could do was to carry on with these survivors as much as possible until the day she found He Lao and other elite agents. If He Lao and the others are still alive, mine, what I found is mine. Suddenly, there was a quarrel in the crowd, followed by a slap in the face, and a woman screamed. "You bastard, I obviously found that first, it's mine." A middle-aged woman and a skinny man were fighting over a can. Hearing the quarrel, Fang Mingyue's expression changed and she cursed angrily. "Are you crazy? You don't know what the situation is now? You dare to yell at this time? Are you afraid of attracting those monsters? If you want to die, get out and don't hurt anyone else." The middle-aged woman hugged the can tightly, pointed at the man and cursed. "It's him. I found a can, and he wanted to grab it without any explanation. I haven't eaten for 2 days. This can, who come and don't give it to me. I found it, it's mine." Hearing this, the man cursed. "Li Shufang, you bitch. You were so hungry a few days ago that I gave you half of the food. You just hid it when you found it. Are you embarrassed? I, and everyone are about to die. What's the point of being embarrassed? No one can take away the can today?" the woman yelled. "That's enough," Fang Mingyue said angrily. "It's just a can. What are you trying to rob? If you lure those monsters over, just wait until you become cans. Also, I told you not to fight just for a little food. Warrior, we have already gone out to look for food. I won't starve you to death." The woman muttered. "It's been so long. I don't know if I found something to hide and eat, or if I'm already dead." "You?" Fang Mingyue was about to scold the woman angrily, forgetting who risked her life to find food for them during this period, when she heard a rustling sound coming from the stairwell. I face. A weird swallowing sound. "No, it's weird." Fang Mingyue recognized the sound as soon as she heard it. It was the sound made by those weird dogs and cats before. Obviously, these monsters were attracted by the quarrel between the two people. "Monster, the monster is coming. Are we going to die?" "No, I don't want to die yet. Help me, help us. Officer Fang, help us." "Shut up, everyone," Fang Mingyue shouted in a low voice, and then immediately rushed to the wall near the stairwell, pressed against the wall, and listened carefully to what was going on below. The sound of swallowing was getting closer and closer. Fang Mingyue held a flashlight and carefully swept over it, trying to determine the strange number with the help of the flashlight's light. She can still control the situation if there are only one or two, but if there are more than this number, it will be dangerous. I face. I face. Fang Mingyu's heart tightened, the weirdness had reached this level. This is the third time that they have been found by weird while hiding in a building. It is simply impossible to avoid weird with sensitive hearing by this method. But with dozens of people, where can we go without hiding in a room? Under such circumstances, these people can still argue and say that they are burdensome. It is too flattering to them. If they are walked on the street outside, they will be wiped out in less than a day. A moment later, a red figure was found in the faint light of the flashlight. Fang Mingyu's pupils suddenly shrank. What on earth was that? A monster with half of its body melted like a candle, and its body seemed to be covered with a layer of blood cloth. Black mist of strange energy was floating around the body, and the body was still exuding a rotting stench. This weirdo has probably mutated to level 2. The moment Fang Mingyue saw this weirdo, she even felt that the weird energy equipment on her body was distorted by some kind of weird space collision. Just by the mysterious energy radiating from his body, he has such a terrifying coercion. How can she deal with level 2 weirdness on her own? Fang Mingyue felt a chill in her heart. Even after experiencing several strange events, when she saw this indescribable monster, she felt like she was having nightmares about seeing the devil. War? Escape? Fang Mingyue bit her lip hard. The pain instantly made her wake up, and she quickly thought about how to deal with it. Let's go. With the weird equipment on her body and the skills she has trained over the years, it is not difficult to escape from a level 2 weird hand. However, once she is gone, none of the dozen survivors will be spared. Fang Mingyue was born into a military family, and the education she received since childhood obviously did not allow her to do this kind of thing, abandoning the people and running away alone. Then we can only fight. The weirdness did not give Fang Mingyue much time to think about it. Although its speed was not fast, its huge body blocked the stairwell corridor tightly. Even though Fang Mingyue was less than 5 meters away from weird, she did not dare to act rashly. She was not sure of killing a level 2 weird with one blow. She could only think of ways to delay it and give the survivors time to escape. Even if all the dozen or so survivors can't escape, one of them can be saved. I face. The weirdness has arrived in the stairwell, and the swallowing sound is so overwhelming that people can't breathe. At this moment, a woman suddenly let out a scream. Under the oppression of darkness, hunger, and fear, her emotions finally collapsed. She rushed to the balcony, smashed through the window and jumped out. Idiot, come back. Before Fang Mingyue could say the word, come, the strange person in the stairwell let out a low roar and was already attracted by the movement in the house, rushing into the room. When a dozen survivors saw this scene, they shrank in the corner and screamed, fled in all directions, and jumped off the building like the woman before. The room was in chaos. Fang Mingyue originally planned to use weird equipment to control the weirdness in the stairwell to buy time for the survivors to escape. This time, it was better. The chaos saved her time to think and struggle. Now she only needs to consider one question: how to deal with the strangeness in front of you. Gulu, Wei Wei made a weird sound, and the bloody clothes on his body suddenly looked like a fishing net, directly covering a survivor who was trying to escape from it. The next second, the survivor was pulled in front of Weird. Weird's black magma-like body opened a mouth and bit off the man's head in an instant. The scary thing is that the bloody clothes seemed to be alive and began to devour the man's body. This is actually two weird things fused together? It's not a level 2 weirdness, but two level 1 weirdnesses fused together. Fang Mingyue doesn't know if this is good news, but she must take action immediately. Fang Mingyue pulled out a 1-foot-long metal stick, twisted it, and the tip of the stick stretched out, quickly expanding into a fly swatter, with a diameter of more than 1 meter. Then, Fang Mingyue swatted Weiyi with a fly swatter. With a pop sound, the fly swatter hit Weiyi and instantly turned into a square cubic mesh, covering it entirely. I'm holding it, you guys go quickly. Hurry, get out of here. Fang Mingyue grabbed the metal pole tightly and shouted to the survivors behind him. After hearing this, several people quickly took the opportunity to run down the stairwell, but there were still several of my legs were weak from fear, and I collapsed on the spot and kept crying, not knowing how to run. "Let's go, you will die if you don't go," Fang Mingyue shouted. The sounds of crying, screaming, and Fang Mingyue's scoldings all mixed together to make this strange and sound-sensitive creature extremely violent. It roared like a terrifying beast and crazily hit the metal frame that trapped it. Several crying survivors were awakened by the terrifying low roar and crashing sound, rolling and crawling towards the stairs in panic. However, as soon as he reached the stairs, the asterisk clothes on Weird's body flowed directly from the gaps in the frame, turning into a terrifying blood basin and biting the survivors. Poof! With one mouthful, half of the body disappeared in an instant, and the remaining half of the body, including blood and internal organs, was spread all over the floor. The people following behind were immediately paralyzed with fear. Let's go quickly," Fang Mingyue yelled anxiously. The power of the blood-clothed treacherous dog in front of her was astonishing. She felt like she was covering a mad bullfighting, and she could hardly control the treacherous equipment in her hands. With a crunching sound of metal twisting, Fang Mingyue's treacherous energy equipment was smashed by the blood-clothed treacherous dog. Seeing that most of its body was about to rush out, Fang Mingyue gritted his teeth, put away the metal rod, and moved towards the blood-clothed treacherous dog. The sneaky dog bumped into him. She was covered with a piece of dark brown leather armor from her right shoulder to her right arm. The moment she bumped into the blood-clothed dog, the leather armor suddenly inflated into a balloon like a car airbag. The blood-clothed sneak dog only saw a group of things rushing towards him, opened his **** mouth and bit into the leather airbag. The moment he bit the airbag, a strong airflow exploded. With such a terrifying impact, an ordinary person would be blown away directly, but the blood-clothed sly dog only retreated less than 1 meter. Fang Mingyue inflated the magic arm guard again, trying to block the advancing blood-clothed magic dog. At this moment, a man's voice sounded beside her. "Hey, if you don't want to die, disable the magic equipment and move back." "Who?" Fang Mingyue looked to the side alertly and saw a cold light passing by, and with a pop sound, the head of the sly dog was cut off. In the light of the flashlight that fell to the ground, a pair of feet wearing yellow protective clothing appeared. Chapter 83. Everyone can be the Shilipo sword god. Singer Shen mentioned that the butcher's knife was not bad, and cut off the black lava-like head underneath the blood-clothed treacherous dog, which melted like a candle. But the severed head did not roll to the ground. On the cut gap, thick black blood hung like veins on the head, which looked terrifying and disgusting. Severe cuts with one knife? Fine. 2 knives, 3 knives. Shen Jie transformed into a butcher, and the pig-killing knife in his hand was like a bone-chopping knife, constantly slashing at the head of the treacherous dog. The strange red mass on the blood-clothed strange dog seemed to realize the danger, and turned into a * mouth to bite Shen Jie. Shen Jie's right hand was still swinging the knife to attack the treacherous dog. His left hand dug into his pocket, raised his hand, and threw out a fist-sized piece of flesh and blood elf ball. Stomach. Hunter's stomach suddenly swelled in the air and swallowed the * clothes in one gulp. When it fell to the ground, it swelled to about 1 meter in diameter. The blood-clothed weirdo still tried to break through the restraints in the weird stomach, but as it tossed inside, the weird stomach just kept being poked into the shape of a sea urchin, with no sign of breaking. As time goes by, the original volume of more than 1 meter in diameter has gradually shrunk to the size of a basketball, and the strangeness of the * clothes is being continuously digested. On the other side, after Shen Jie's crazy chopping with his random cloak sword skills, the tricky dog's head finally fell to the ground with a killing pig's knife. The host successfully kills the level 1 weirdo, and is rewarded with 50 system points x 50. It took less than 2 minutes to solve the 2 weirdos, and Fang Mingyue on the side was stunned. Fang Mingyue was originally prepared to die heroically. She knew that facing 2 level 1 weirdos at the same time, given her current state, as well as the current environment and situation, the chance of surviving was very low. She tried her best to stop weirdness with the idea that she could delay it for a little while and save one more survivor. But suddenly a man appeared, hacked to death one of the weirdos with 3 knives like a butcher, and then devoured the other weirdo with his weird stomach. Fang Mingyue had seen the yellowed treacherous energy protective clothing in the treacherous energy equipment research files before. It seemed to be equipment researched by the Dianzhou branch. Fang Mingyue is no stranger to the weird equipment. Stomach. It is a piece of weird equipment owned by Go Daqi, also an agent in Beijing City. But Go Qi is as his name suggests. He is timid and fearful of things, greedy for life and afraid of death. In the Special Policy Department, he works as a monk and clocks the clock, muddle along, and push forward when there are tasks. This time I just heard that there was a level 4 strange incident in Yuzhou, and the headquarters wanted to dispatch manpower to support Yuzhou, so I was so scared that I asked for a month's leave. Fang Mingyue didn't know what the use of this kind of waste was in the Special Policy Department, but since others were seniors, he, a junior, couldn't say much. Is this man Go Daqi? Fang Mingyue looked at Shen Jie, but saw that the other party kicked his strange stomach that was digesting blood clothes, and said very dissatisfied, "Hey, can you swallow it faster? It takes a long time to digest even a pound of blood. You need Jianli brand Jianwei Shaoxi tablets to recuperate." Fang Mingyue felt that aside from his weird language, his voice was very magnetic and nice to listen to. It was definitely not a voice that Go Daqi's duck voice could produce. Besides, judging by his voice, he is not in his 40s. "Thank you for your help. If it weren't for you, I might have died here. Are you an agent from Dianzhou?" Fang Mingyue asked. "No, I'm from the wrong city branch," Shen Jie replied. Fang Mingyue was stunned for a moment, then asked, "Are you Shen Jie?" "Hey, do you know me?" Shen Jie was surprised. Fang Mingyue replied, "Elite agents have the authority to access the information of agents from other branches to facilitate cooperation in the anti-deception operation. This time something happened in Yuzhou. I checked the information of the agents of the 4th Southwest Department before taking action. There are 4 agents in Wrong City, and I have seen the other 3. "Oh." Shen Jie nodded. Fang Mingyue asked, "Are you here for support too? How many people came in this time? Is there any way to contact them? This strange incident may be much more complicated than imagined." Shen Jie said, "I'm not here to support, I'm here to solve this strange incident. Are you an agent from the Yuzhou branch or from the headquarters?" Headquarters. Fang Mingyu's face became a little strange. He was obviously just a newcomer. How could he have the confidence to say, "I'm here to solve this weird incident"? How old is Chang? He doesn't have the confidence to face strange events at level 4, right? "Oh, are you one of the 3 agents from the headquarters who lost contact as soon as they entered the door because of their high self-confidence in the past 2 days?" Shen Jie recognized the other party's identity. "No, brother, where did you get the confidence to say such a thing?" Fang Mingyue wanted to complain, but someone else had just rescued her, and since she was really powerful, there might be a way to solve this weird incident. "So from the outside, does it seem like we have only been in the strange space for 2 days? But in fact, I have been here for almost a month and a half. Not only is the space here chaotic, but the time is also chaotic. The earliest batch of soldiers from the Yuzhou branch, some stayed for 3 months, and some stayed for almost half a year," Fang Mingyue said. Shen Jie frowned slightly when he heard this. "I see. No wonder there are buildings here that look abandoned for 10 or 20 years. Aren't you surprised?" Fang Mingyue asked. Shen Jie said, "What's so strange about this? Weird abilities are all kinds of weird. I've seen one that can make half a building invisible. It's not a big deal to change the passage of time. Isn't it the House of Time and Spirit? As for the setting, if I practice here for 10 or 8 years, wouldn't I be invincible when I go out?" Fang Mingyue felt that she couldn't keep up with the mind of the man in front of her. Others were trapped in this strange space and were thinking about how to get out. What he was thinking about was whether he would be invincible after 10 years of cultivation. "I think your plan is unlikely to work, because perhaps due to the accelerated passage of time, a lot of food here has deteriorated and rotted. You may starve to death before you are invincible," Fang Mingyue said. "Oh, it's not a big problem. I'm hungry. But we'll talk about these things later. Why don't you go and comfort the mourners inside first? If you continue to cry like this, something strange will be attracted to you again." Shen Jie looked at the people inside. In the dark room, bursts of sobbing came from the room, which was more terrifying than weird. Fang Mingyue then remembered that it was because these people were making noise that attracted the strangeness, and she quickly rushed into the house to persuade those people to shut up. Shen Jie sent Fang Mingyue away to dispose of the strange corpse. When the other party entered the house, he first sold the corpse of the strange dog, then closed the strange stomach, releasing only half a bowl of blood that had been digested. Whether to sell the level 1 weird corpse, price, 200 system points. 2 level 1 weirdos were killed and sold, and another 500 system points were credited to the account. What Shen Jie said before, "You will be invincible after 10 years of practice," was not a joke. If possible, he really wanted to rack up 10 years of system points. Men, you must be able to endure loneliness. As long as conditions permit, everyone is a Shilipo sword god. Detective Shen, what are you going to do next? Hey, where is the weird corpse? Fang Mingyue arranged for several survivors in the house. She wanted to come out and ask Shen Jie about her next plan, but she found that the weird corpse on the ground was missing, was suddenly surprised. It stinks so much, I threw it downstairs, Shen Jie said. Fang Mingyu's eyebrows trembled, and she sighed in her mind, it's so fast. She still felt a little weird, but she didn't say much. Then what are your plans next? Find the level 4 weirdness, kill it, and then go home for a vacation, Shen Jie said. Fang Mingyue didn't know how to answer these words for a while. Shen Jie made the matter too simple, as if it was not a level 4 weird event, but just going downstairs to throw away garbage. But taking these people to find the 4th level weirdness, I am afraid, Fang Mingyue said hesitantly. Take them with you? No, don't mention them. Even you and I don't plan to take them with you. You can't help at all. You will only drag me down, Shen Jie said straightforwardly. Fang Mingyue admitted that what Shen Jie said might have some truth to it, but saying it so bluntly made her face look a little ugly. Detective Shen, I admit that you are very strong, but I am also an elite agent and have solved 2 strange incidents, Fang Mingyue said. Shen Jie said, oh, what next? You are hiding here with a group of people, facing 2 level 1 weirdos, and you need to risk your life to fight together. Hey, I really want to know, do you know yourself clearly? Why are you here? Do you still remember the mission? Fang Mingyue was stunned when he heard this. Mission? Enter the strange space, solve the 4th level strangeness, and end this strange incident? But there are still survivors here, so I can't just ignore them, right? Fang Mingyue asked. Shen Jie said, if you really have the awareness of an elite agent, then after discovering the survivors, you should tell them how to avoid the weird things, and then stay in a hidden place waiting for you to solve the weird incidents. Wait until the incident solve it and they can be rescued instead of living here with them. I'm not living an ignoble existence, I'm protecting civilians, Fang Mingyue said excitedly. She had risked her life to work hard, how could she tolerate others saying that she was living an ignoble life? Sorry, in my opinion, staying here and doing nothing is just living an ignoble existence. Come, let me settle the score for you. Even if you try your best and save 100 people here, if the strange incident is not solved, it will just be delaying their death. If the strange events continue to spread, from Dongyu village to the entire Yuzhou, will these 100 people be the only ones who die in the end? Shen Jie asked rhetorically. To be honest, I had already arrived on this floor after hearing the screams. I had no intention of taking action because my mission was not to save people, but to completely solve this strange incident. After I returned, I was not even asked to report right. After all, there is no difference between your disappearance and your death on the list. It's just that your stupid suicide behavior reminds me of the soldiers in my department who have been fighting on the front line and are not afraid of life and death. And if you take action to solve the 2 level 1 weirdos, it will not put me in danger. If those few inside howling a few more times with a loud voice will cause more weirdness, and I will immediately turn around and leave. Fang Mingyu's actions reminded Shen Jie of Feng Chengshou in the invisible incident, and the soldier who fell from the building to save others. Otherwise, Shen Jie would probably have remained invisible and slipped away. Listening to what those people said before, I felt that the soldiers who were in distress while out looking for food were owed something to them. As a soldier, I should risk my life to save them. Such a person, whoever loves to save, is not conscious, anyway. You, as an elite agent of the Special Policy Department, how can you say such irresponsible words? Fang Mingyue said angrily. I'm so irresponsible, you are already lying on the ground. Shen Ji's tone was full of disdain. Before Fang Mingyue could finish her words, she was interrupted by Shen Jie. What are you? You have a more correct attitude towards your savior. I'm already very kind by not letting you kneel down and kowtow to thank you. As an elite agent, I will carry out the mission. Putting it all aside, the Holy Mother's heart overflowed and came here to be a Holy Mother. Who do you think you are? Are you worthy of the clothes you are wearing? If you can do it, quit as soon as possible. If you can't do it, leave as soon as possible. If you don't do it, there will be parley. We have everything in the heaven. There aren't many, but there are so many people that you can't find two agents who can concentrate on the task. You. Fang Mingyue was speechless because of the rebuke. You can say that Shen Jie is lying. As an elite agent, you should put your mission first. However, how can he say that his Holy Mother's heart is overflowing? Shouldn't we save people? But Fang Mingyue vaguely felt that Shen Jie was right. Her approach could only end with sacrifice. After the sacrifice, the survivors she was protecting would also die. As Shen Jie said, she only delayed them, time of death. As long as the strange incident is not resolved for one day, it will continue to spread, and more people will be implicated. That's it for now. You decide what to do. I'll run away first. After Shen Jie finished speaking, he walked downstairs without looking back. Hey, wait! Fang Mingyue wanted to call out to the other party, but for a moment she didn't know what to say. Watching Shen Jie leave, Fang Mingyue sighed and retreated to the room where the survivors were. There were originally a dozen survivors, but now there are only 6 left. Officer Fang, why are you alone? Where was the police officer just now? Someone asked. Someone immediately echoed. Yes, where is the police officer just now? I just saw him holding a kitchen knife and killing a monster with a few swipes. He is so powerful, can he protect us? Yes, Officer Fang. Where are the others? Gone. Fang Mingyue replied. Gone? Where have we gone? He doesn't care about us anymore? I heard Officer Fang and you were arguing with that officer. No, that couldn't be the case. You must have made him angry. Oh, at this time, you should lower your profile and ask him to save us. That's right, as a detective, should your main priority be to save us? Well, I know that women can't be relied upon at times like this. How about we go out and find the police officer? Everyone said something to me. But they actually criticized Li Fang Mingyue for not having a sense of the overall situation. For the sake of personal anger, he asterisked off his savior. Hearing these scolding voices, Fang Mingyue was completely heartbroken. Chapter 84. Creepy Eye. After Shen Jie came out of the old building, he walked a certain distance while maintaining his invisible state. After confirming that no oil bottles were following him, he revealed his figure. Through the conversation with Fang Mingyue, Shen Jie also gained a lot of information, which was one of the reasons why he took the initiative to save Shang Mingyue. Fang Mingyue entered the mysterious space earlier than him and survived, which shows that she has some abilities and must have some information about the mysterious space. Although the two broke up on bad terms due to issues with concepts and tasks, Fang Mingyue told Shen Jie all the information she had obtained. Space and time are confused. Shen Jie had already guessed these things. After being confirmed by Fang Mingyue, Shen Jie also had a deeper understanding of the current situation. No matter how the strange space changes, it always revolves around the problem of not getting out. The final result is that the intruder gets lost in the chaotic space. And according to the information given by the Yuzhou branch, the Little Sheik that their agents first dealt with was not successfully contained in the end. Hence, the two major problems Shen Jie faces are: one is how to survive in a chaotic space with scarce resources, and the other is the strange quantity. According to Fang Mingyue, the number of weird things here is at least 3 digits. Considering the animals in the pet market, this number is not surprising. In other words, there is a level 4 weirdness, a level 2 weirdness, and a 3-digit number of level 1 weirdnesses in the entire weird space, which does not include the weirdness that is undergoing alienation and advanced alienation. I don't know if it is because there are several strange spaces at the same time that the time and space here are confused. If there are several strange spaces overlapping, then the not out position should be in the center. This must not be a layer. Push it one level up? Shen Jie suddenly felt a headache when he thought of this. However, after learning that there were so many weird things, Shen Jie's first thought was not how to avoid these weird things, but to find opportunities to increase his system points. After all, it can be seen from this strange incident that the frequency of strange occurrences has increased linearly, from once in the first few years, to several times a month, to hundreds of strange things in a strange space. This increasing speed is also very good. It explains why the world has come to an end in just 3 years. In addition to the number of weird and terrifying things in the weird space, another problem is the problem of resources. But this problem poses almost no threat to Shen Jie. The system store that pulls the hips has really risen to the level of a doomsday store here. With an inexhaustible system store on his back, Shen Jie is indeed qualified to be the Shilipo sword god, provided that the master here gives him a chance. It's a pity that Fang Mingyue and Feng Chengshou have the same concept, otherwise it would be much easier for the other party to bring 2 pieces of strange equipment to deal with the strange. This concept is not right or wrong, it is just a matter of personal choice. After all, someone has to bear the burden and move forward in this world. However, such people are not suitable for forming a team in such an environment. The inability to make decisive decisions means that they are likely to become a liability due to hesitation. The fact that she did not follow her out of the building in the end is enough to prove that even if there is hesitation, it will not shake her determination. Even if her heart is cold, people will still save her. This is the awareness of being a warrior. Shen Jie admires people like Feng Chengshou and Fang Mingyue very much, but he will only save Fang Mingyue once, because Fang Mingyue's character is destined not to be in such danger for the last time. Well, I hope you can get out alive. Shen Jie walked on the deserted streets, thinking about his interactions with people like Feng Chengshou and Fang Mingyue. As a civilian, he hoped that there would be more people like them in the world, but as an elite agent, he had to do it every day. Ensure sound judgment at all times. Strangeness will not give you a chance to think. A small hesitation will put you in a place of no return. Although it is a bit cold-blooded to say this, only absolute rationality and quick decision-making in the face of strange events are what an elite agent should do. Shen Jie suddenly thought of a key question. There were a large number of low-level weirdnesses in this weird incident. Is this related to the characteristic weird space of the 4th level weirdness, Buju? For example, is it because of the influence of not coming out that the strange alienation has been accelerated? Shen Jie asked Xiao Zhang to retrieve the files of the Special Strategy Department on dealing with weird things in the past. In the weird incidents in previous years, weird incidents rarely occurred at the same time. Therefore, this weird incident is considered the first one. It is difficult for Shen Jie not to let go. Connect it with the strange appearance of level 4. It is also very simple to verify the conjecture in your mind. Find 2 animals that contain weak magic energy in their bodies and have not yet been mutated, and store them together with ordinary animals with high-level weirdness. See if the 2 will mutate in a short period of time. Know whether the high-level weird energy will accelerate the strange transformation. Shen Jie decided to go back and tell Li Shang the situation and let him verify it. Warn. The host is in a level 6 weird and highly polluted area and has been locked by the high-level weirdness in the area. Please cherish your life and escape quickly. High-level weirdness. It was a rare moment when the system was powerful. Shen Jie suddenly became alert. He first entered an invisible state, then slowed down and listened carefully to the movements around the street. In the dark night sky, the weird and terrifying dark red moon not only failed to provide enough light to the neighborhood, but instead made the entire neighborhood eerie, making it impossible to see whether there was something strange hidden in the surrounding shadows. Shen Jie walked forward about 20 meters and heard a faint swallowing sound coming from the shadows directly in front of him. Turning the corner, I saw a large and strange thing 3 or 4 meters high and at least 6 or 7 meters long in front of the dilapidated building in front of me. Isn't this that unique-looking, little thing? Shen Jie thought of the weird pictures played by Xiao Zhang in the conference room. The one in front of him was the Teddy, with asterisk little red legs, that is, Yujo, the weird one that the branch agents first dealt with. This size, Teddy? It's okay to say it's Tyson? Shen-Jie was shocked. This was probably the biggest weirdo he had ever seen. Shen-Jie originally thought that, judging from the information map provided by the Yujo branch, it would be at most the size of the tricky cat and mouse he had dealt with before. Who knew it was actually a big guy? Is this a change from level 2 to level 3? Goodbye? Slipped away. Shen-Jie turned around and left decisively. The explosives on his body had been thrown cleanly before. Apart from shooting with a rifle, he could only fight hand-to-hand with a knife, so he fled decisively. Although the sneak dogs can smell the breath of living things, they cannot see anything, and they are not smart enough to pounce on the air. Shen-Jie walked away from the weirdness and continued to walk forward for a certain distance. 20 minutes later, he received the same prompt from the system again. Another one coming? Wrong. It seems to be the intersection ahead? Shen-Jie became alert and entered the invisible state. He looked around and suddenly felt that something looked familiar. As he walked further, he returned to the intersection where he met the strange dog. Come back again? Having had the experience of being in an underground parking lot, Shen-Jie was not surprised that he returned to the starting point while walking. Shen-Jie stopped and looked at the large treacherous dog. It seemed to be squatting on the ground, its mouth wide open, and red liquid was constantly flowing down from its mouth, dripping all over the surrounding area. Shen-Jie takes a step forward, and his head will move accordingly. Although he cannot see it, he is always paying attention to the movement of the open space. Shen-Jie turned on, silent, again and tried to get closer to the sly dog. As expected, the sly dog's head moved much slower. Obviously, after there was no sound, the sly dog could no longer identify Shen-Jie's position through sound, and could barely capture Shen-Jie's approximate direction by relying on his sense of smell. Shen-Jie picked up the assault rifle, aimed at the dog's head and pulled the trigger. After a sudden burst, the dog was completely angered. Ice. With a deafening swallowing sound, the sly dog spurted out a large pool of red blood. Fortunately, Shen-Jie reacted quickly and ran to the side before it opened its mouth. Red blood sprayed on the road, sticky, disgusting, and exuding a stench. Shen-Jie felt for the first time that the firepower of the rifle was insufficient. What surprised him most was that it was just suspected to be at level 3, and the gun was completely useless. It would not be so strange to evolve to level 6 or 7 to be able to physically carry nuclear bombs. Fortunately, the system has been awakened in advance, which allows Shen-Jie to devour the weirdness through the system in advance to obtain various characteristics. Otherwise, if he waits until the weirdness grows up to start, the difficulty will skyrocket. No wonder my future self fought against Silent, and finally managed to defeat Wu Sheng by relying on the opportunity gained from the annihilation of the elite team. At this time, the sneaky dog could not see Shen-Jie, nor could it catch the sound. It could only be furious and spit out blood like lava, but it did not know that Shen-Jie had already run dozens of meters away. After staying away from the treacherous dog, Shen-Jie took a few sips from the treacherous energy can and regained some mental strength. There are 17 canisters left. Unlike spirit apples, one can only store 100% of the canister, and 17 cans can only store 1700% of the canister. The mental apple is the upper limit of Shen-Jie's mental power, and eating one can restore it. I gave one to Li Shang and still had one left with me. Even so, Shen-Jie did not dare to maintain the dual characteristics of invisible plus silent throughout the entire process, and almost held the second hand to release the characteristics. Shen-Jie walked back and forth a few times and found that he couldn't leave the guild dog neighborhood, so he decided not to leave. I found a dilapidated house and stopped to rest after checking that there was nothing weird hiding there. It has been almost 10 hours since entering the strange space. Shen-Jie has been maintaining a high level of concentration at all times, and Shen-Jie is also a little tired. Before Shen-Jie entered the strange space, since his body was covered with canisters and projectiles, except for a few compressed biscuits and a small bottle of water, he brought nothing else. I wanted to do 10 consecutive rounds to suppress the panic, but I thought that if I couldn't take a few buckets of water or a few boxes of instant noodles with me, It would be a waste to leave them here, so I finally decided to just draw a miracle. System, the stage has been set for you, you grocery store manager, please be more diligent. Shen Jie rubbed his hands. He didn't bring a speaker, so he could only hum good luck to himself. My turn. Draw a card. Do you want to spend 100 system points for a lottery draw? Smoke. Prizes are being drawn. Ding. As the aperture repeatedly jumped between the 5 options, the rotating aperture slowed down and was about to stop on living materials. This was the first time Shen Jie actively hoped that the system would bring a box of instant noodles. But, finally, the aperture stopped on weapons and equipment. Congratulations to the host for drawing the consumable item, G4 grenade, X3. Throwing objects, no loss. Come again, prizes are being drawn. Ding! Congratulations to the host for drawing the consumable item, Molotov cocktail, X10. Molotov cocktail, no loss. Smoke again, prizes are being drawn. Ding! Congratulations to the host for drawing the weapon, M134 Gatling gun X1, and bullets X1000. Men's romance, know your uncles, let me go, system. Are these the only things in your pool? Can this be repeated? Can you gain some energy and act like a grocer? Where's the instant noodles? Where's the drinking water? Where's the Snickers bar? You'd better get one. Prizes are being drawn. Ding! Congratulations to the host for drawing the consumable flash bomb X3. System, don't force me to beg you. Hurry up and get a box of instant noodles. Smoke. Prizes are being drawn. Ding! Congratulations to the host for drawing the characteristic equipment, cunning eye, characteristic, invisible. Following a glance of white light, a green eyeball appeared in front of Shen Jie. It looked like a cat's eye, but it was soft, sticky, and a little disgusting. Awesome, system, you're all over the place, right? I want special equipment, so you give me instant noodles. I want instant noodles, and you give me special equipment? Just, how to use this special equipment? Shen Jie played with the sticky, wet and soft eyeballs, wondering what invisible meant. After all, eyes are used to see things. Doesn't invisible mean that he is blind? Shen Jie casually threw it towards the wall in front of him, and with a pop sound, his eyeballs stuck to the wall, and then something strange happened. The sneaky eye was originally just an eyeball. After it was pasted on the wall, Shen Jie saw it blinking as if it came to life in a trance, then looked around, and then stared straight at Shen Jie, giving him the feeling that the whole wall was alive and staring straight at him. Can you just stick it on and use it? Shen Jie stretched out his hand, grabbed the tricky eye and pulled it off the wall smoothly. Shen Jie wanted to try whether to stick it on his body, but if he couldn't take it off after it was stuck on his body, it would be a big joke. Try it. Special equipment is actually equipment with special abilities, but the system and the special strategy department have different names for it. Shen Jie has long known this. And he already has a lot of strange abilities, such as, not bad, not let go, and even more weird and disgusting, stomach. If something went wrong, it would probably have gone wrong long ago. Thinking of this, Shen Jie put his sly eyes on his arm. With a pop sound, the sneaky eyes stuck to his arm as well as to the wall. He blinked, looked left and right, and then stared at Shen Jie. Otherwise, there are no special changes. Does it have to be in contact with the skin? Shen Jie simply dug out his sneaky eye again and put it on his forehead, starving the brave to death. However, the moment Shen Jie put the sneaky eye on his forehead, his eyes went dark. It felt like his eyes were covered. He couldn't see anything. He couldn't even feel the light source of the flashlight in front of him, as if the whole world was there. In an instant, he fell into darkness. Chapter 85. Versus Mercenaries. Shen Jie raised his hand and dug it out. Fortunately, the tricky eye was immediately pulled out, and the moment the tricky eye was pulled out, his vision was restored. Does not being able to see really mean that one becomes blind? Apart from anything else, it would definitely be good to use yin people, but I don't know if it will be useful for the weird. Shen Jie suddenly thought of throwing the weird eyes on the target to make them temporarily lose their ability. Vision, if it is effective against weirdness, this thing can be an artifact. However, the weird body is usually covered with a layer of weird energy or a disgusting substance like mud. Whether this counts as direct physical contact is also a question. In any case, this was the second piece of special equipment given by the system after, not bad, although Shen Jie really wanted a box of instant noodles at this time. For the sake of the special equipment, it was rare that he didn't criticize the system. In pursuit of victory, I have also given you equipment with this characteristic, so it's time to give instant noodles, right? Shen Jie still has 4021 system points left, and is ready to make a big wave. 10 companies. Ding 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 ding. Congratulations to the host for drawing the consumable, explosive grenade X3. Free attributes, 3%. Wa Niu functional drink X3. Free attributes, 2%. High explosive bomb X1, grenade launcher, X1, grenade X10. Free attributes, 2%. Molotov cocktail, X10, M1911 pistol X1, magazine X4. F1 fragmentation grenade, X1. System, you really don't even give me a bite to eat. Shen Jie scolded and added 15% of the 7% free attributes he had drawn and the 8% he had saved before to his mental power, and his mental power was also increased from 220% to 235%. Shen Jie is very curious. If his spiritual power reaches the standard value of level 2 weirdness, will he be directly promoted to level 2? There are 3021 system points left. Shen Jie wanted to stop after drawing the food, but looking at the weapons and equipment on the floor, if the system wholesales another batch of weapons and equipment, it would be troublesome for him to take them away. In addition, there is nothing to eat at the moment, and there is also a bag of compressed biscuits. Thinking of this, Shen Jie simply stopped smoking, opened the biscuits and scalper functional drink and started eating them. After eating, Shen Jie put on the weapons and equipment he had picked up, carrying Gatling, and prepared to go back to find the tricky dog to talk about men's romance. Back at the street corner, Shen Jie activated the invisible plus silent dual characteristic state and approached, then picked up Gatling and aimed at the head of the sly dog. Chooch tug tug. The barrel of the Gatling gun rotated rapidly, spitting out tongues of fire crazily, and blood flowers exploded on the head of the sly dog. It wasn't that the gun didn't work, it was just that the rifle's firepower was not up to par. Shen Jie finally understands why Schwarzenegger and Stallone always liked Gatling. This is such a joy. But the next second, in just 10 seconds, Gatling's gun barrel stopped rotating. This battlefield meat grinder can be said to have frozen as soon as it was started. These 1,000 rounds of ammunition are gone before they feel good. Just 10 seconds to be a real man. Shen Jie was completely stunned. He threw Gatling away and fired grenades and Molotov cocktails at the dog with a grenade gun. The sneaky dog couldn't see Shen Jie, so it could only spit red liquid in the direction where he was. And the red liquid was filled with black sneaky energy. After it hit the ground, it bubbled and bubbled, corroding the ground. Shen Jie retreated while fighting to avoid getting stained by the red liquid. Boom. 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 After 10 grenades were fired, almost all the projectiles except flash bombs were thrown. The body of the dog was blown to pieces and a large piece of its head was missing. The brain inside could be seen beating. Red blood flowed all over the ground, and the blood bubbled gurglingly, giving people the illusion that they were in the depths of a volcano. The angry trick dog smashed the surrounding buildings, and several houses were knocked into ruins. Shen Jie sucked the trick energy jar, and relied on the invisible plus silent concealment ability and the maneuverability of the trick shoes to constantly shift positions. There's nothing the dog can do against him. But in just a few minutes, Shen Jie consumed 4 deception canisters. Even if he used manual fire escape to ignite the deception dog, this one was obviously not as easy to deal with as those in the underground parking lot. But other than continuing to burn it with a burning bottle, Shen Jie had no better way to consume it. It's not an option to waste it like this. They had already seriously injured the stray dog, and leaving like this was equivalent to wasting all the previous efforts. Shen Jie obviously didn't want to give up just like that. There is also a high explosive bomb in Shensinger, but judging from the effects of previous grenades, the layer of skin covered with deception energy on the deception dog's body has a high defense, and ordinary explosives cannot even explode. Wear this skin. If Gatlin hadn't hit a point with crazy output at the beginning and broke a little of the skin, the grenades that followed would not have been able to blow through the sly dog's head. By the way, the head. Shen Jie looked at the half-exposed fresh brain of the dog, and decided to have a live brain roasting session. He was seen sucking up a canister of trick energy, then rushed to the building not far away, jumped up, and jumped to the roof of the second floor with the jump bonus of the trick shoes. Shen Jie took a few deep breaths, calmed down his mood, and started to rush again. While the sneaky dog was smashing an old building with his back turned, he jumped to the back of the opponent's neck. Then he held the saber and stabbed it into the brain of the sly dog. With one hand he held the saber firmly to steady his body, and with the other hand he took out the high explosive and pressed it between the sly dog's brain and skull. The sly dog let out a piercing roar, and tried to throw Shen Jie off its back with a death roll like a crocodile. But Shen Jie completed the placement of the explosive first, stepped on the sly dog's back, jumped hard, jumped into the air, and then threw it down. The last two Molotov cocktails. Phew! The tricky dog was once again swallowed up by the flames. After landing, Shen Jie ran towards the old building next to him and pressed the high explosives controller at the same time. Boom! With a loud noise, high explosives exploded in the head of the sneaky dog. Blood and brains were scattered into the air, and the huge body burning with flames crashed to the ground. Singer Shen walked out of the old building with a butcher's knife, jumped over the red blood flowing on the ground, and stepped directly on the back of the treacherous dog. The treacherous dog had half of its head blown off, and blood bubbled gurglingly, and it was growing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. How could Shen Jie give the sneaky dog a chance to resurrect? He started to work as a butcher again, slashing at the sneaky dog's head one by one with his butcher knife, cutting it into pieces. The host is wise and courageous, majestic, single-handedly kills level 2 weirdos, rewards system points x100, and random F-level supplies x1. Do you want to withdraw the reward? Well, just level 2? Shen Jie was a little disappointed when he heard the system prompts. He originally thought that the strange dog was already at level 3 when it grew to this size, but he didn't expect that it was still in the process of alienation. Had you known it earlier and waited? That's not right either. Assault rifles are useless now. When they are transformed into level 3 and Gatling and explosives are useless, there will be nothing left to do. Extract. Rewards are being drawn. Extraction successful. Obtain Spirit Apple X1. Level F Spirit Apple. You will make money if you draw it. Whether to sell level 2 weird corpses. Selling price 500 system points. For sale. After killing and selling, 600 system points were recorded in the account. Shen Jie's system points returned to 3,621, but the cost of grenades, high explosive bombs, 20 Molotov cocktails, Gatling and grenades added up to 600 system points, which was equivalent to killing a level 2 weirdo. Makes neither a loss nor a profit. However, since the strange dog is dead, the strange space here should have an impact, so he can't be unable to get out. Right? Thinking of this, Shen Jie packed up and continued to move forward. Since Shen Jie has repeated this road 3 or 4 times before, he is very familiar with the surrounding buildings. When he comes to the repetition point, he continues to move forward. This time I passed through the neighborhood smoothly and entered another neighborhood. Compared to the previous block, this block looks like it has not been abandoned for a long time. If the previous block looks like it has been abandoned for more than 10 or 20 years, then the degree of abandonment here is probably less than 10 years. Since the entire space and time are chaotic, Shen Jie suspects that time passes at different speeds in different spaces. Walking forward for a while, Shen Jie saw a faint fire coming from a 2-story house in the distance, so he approached the building invisibly. Most of the right side of the house collapsed, as if it had been hit by a heavy truck, and only half of the ceiling was left, which is equivalent to a half-opened skylight. At this time, 3 people wearing dark camouflage uniforms were sitting around a bonfire, with several pieces of meat hanging on the fire rack being roasted. At the corner not far away was a set of black uniforms from the Special Policy Department and a disfigured corpse. The 3 people by the campfire were communicating in English. Although they couldn't understand what they were saying, they could tell from their tone that they were complaining. Are these the mercenaries? Shen Jie noticed that the combat uniforms of these people were obviously different from those of the Special Strategy Department, and their equipment was also better. Shen Jie looked at the meat on the fire rack, and then at the unrecognizable corpse in the corner. His eyes darkened. He took out the F1 fragmentation grenade, injected it with mental power to activate it silently, and threw it into the house. The grenade rolled into the house without making any sound until it was behind the man with his back to the window. The next second, there was a loud boom. The man recently was directly blown away and died on the spot. The two people next to him were also affected to varying degrees. The fragments directly penetrated the bulletproof vest of one of them, and blood suddenly spurted out. The blonde Caucasian who was the least injured got up with a curse and hurriedly ran to check his companion's injury. He yelled something and held his wound. Looking at the other person, he was walking peacefully. The explosion happened so suddenly that the man even thought he was being attacked strangely. His companion on the ground vomited blood. He was trying to take first aid measures when he noticed a cold on the back of his neck. A man appeared out of nowhere with a gun pressed against the back of his neck. And the blonde young man chirped a lot. Shen Jie's English is pretty good. He can get a score of around 100 points if given a high school paper. Apart from not being able to understand what the foreigner said, there was almost no problem. Spikaniji, Shen Jie said in a deep voice. The blonde young man carefully raised his hands in a gesture of surrender, and tried his best to say in broken Chinese. Women type thunder and wall milk daegu yongjun, weasel jun, yujun, wall medicine 5 charges, send to the nin, send to the be patient, let the medicine come out and carry it. Let the medicine come out and carry it. Send it to someone. Although it was very lame, Shen Jie understood it. This guy kept emphasizing that he was one of the people invited by the Special Policy Department and should not shoot. How many of you are here and where are the others now? Shen Jie asked. The blonde young man hesitated for a long time and answered Shen Jie's question stumblingly. The basic situation is consistent with the information previously given by the Yuzhou branch. There are 13 mercenaries in total, including 2 anti-terrorist special forces soldiers and 11 senior mercenaries. But after entering the strange space, the situation was similar to that of other special strategy soldiers. All 13 people were separated, and their time in the strange space was several months longer than Fang Mingyue. What's even more strange is that 13 mercenaries obviously entered at the same time, but some stayed there for more than half a year, and some only lasted for a month. Once again, it proves that different spatial regions lead to different time passages. The 3 men met a month ago and became trapped in this neighborhood after breaking out of an office building-like space. Shen Jie deliberately asked the blonde young man if he had met any other agents of the Special Strategy Department. The blonde young man hesitated for a long time, and finally tried to use his broken Chinese to excuse himself. Women touches the weasel fish, swords, thunder, and diren. If you have the guts to mark the mark, you will be able to hide it. The audience will be ticked by virtue. The blonde young man stumbled and said. Shen Jie snorted coldly, took the blonde young man by the back of his collar, dragged him to the rubble pile in the corner, and pressed his head to the unrecognizable corpse. Come on, tell me, you beautiful country. Is Weiwei good at using a knife and fork and slicing and dicing people when eating? I can explain. The blonde young man was so frightened that he couldn't speak Chinese clearly, and he was afraid that if he hesitated, Shen Jie would shoot him dead. Click. The blonde young man responded with the sound of bullets being loaded. He immediately shouted in fright. What can we do? We have been trapped here for several months without water or food. We also want to survive. Don't forget, I came to help you and got into the predicament you are in now. Don't kill me. I have a lot of information about the strange space. As long as you don't kill me, I will tell you that I can help you get out. Boom. 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 Shen Jie fired several shots, but he did not kill the blonde young man. Instead, he hit his wrists, ankles, etc., which directly disabled the man's mobility. Then, Shen Jie took off the equipment from these people, but they were trapped in the strange space for a long time, and there were not many bullets left, not to mention the projectiles. "Madman, madman, kill me. You kill me." The blond young man was afraid of death. But he was even more afraid that life would be worse than death. He recalled how they treated the soldiers of the Special Policy Department before. In order to ensure the freshness of the ingredients, they did not even kill those people immediately. He was worried that he would fall into the same fate. Rather than live, it would be better to anger Shen Jie and let him shoot him. Listening to the blond young man spitting dirty words, Shen Jie squatted beside him, pulled out his saber, and pulled out his tongue. "I know a doctor. Every time a patient makes him upset, he will use. I've seen the scalpel cut off the tongue of a noisy person many times, so I won't remember the wrong steps. Don't worry, it won't hurt." Looking at the approaching black saber, the blond young man had a look of despair on his face. The next second, with heartbreaking pain, the blond young man's tongue was cut off, and blood spurted out instantly, entering his nostrils and neck. Shen Jie put away the knife and stood up, grabbed one of the blond young man's feet, and dragged him to the street outside, using it to attract weirdness while the person was still alive. Chapter 86. Only at the end of the day will we understand how precious freedom is in instant noodles. Dragging the blond young man to the street, Shen Jie returned to the old building, picked up the uniform of the special department from the wall, covered the faceless corpse, and then lit the corpse with fire. The bodies of the 3 mercenaries were all moved to the street by Shen Jie and arranged in a row. The family had to be neatly arranged. It was the one who was killed in the bombing. It took some time to put the bodies back together. After arranging the bodies, Shen Jie used the bonfire lit by several people to set fire to all the surrounding houses, and the dark street was instantly illuminated. When it comes to setting fire to a house, Shen Zhemenqing can not only control the temperature of the fire, but also the direction of the fire. He burned the street across the street, and he hid in an old house not far from the 3 corpses. The fire on the opposite street was getting bigger and bigger, and the fire seemed to light up half the sky. The blond young man whose tongue was cut off by Shen Jie did not last long before he bled to death. On the contrary, the man who was injured before was still alive. After waiting for about 20 minutes, Shen Jie heard a familiar swallowing sound, and then saw a strange black creature more than 1 meter long walking out of the shadows in the distance. Judging from the appearance, it is almost impossible to tell whether it is a strange dog, a strange cat, or some other strangely mutated animal. As the strange one walked out, another figure was illuminated by the burning fire. This strange one was a head taller than the one in front, with a black body and green eyes. 2 strangely, one behind the other, approached the 3 corpses in the middle of the street, and then pounced on the corpses and began to eat crazily. The seriously injured mercenary shouted desperately, but only the strange swallowing sound greeted him. The torture-like lingering pain instantly destroyed his will. Before dying, he finally understood the soldiers who had been tortured to death by them in the past few days. The last look. Just as 2 weirds were eating the 3 mercenaries, Shen Jie, holding a butcher knife and turning on invisible plus silent, had already touched the back of the first weird. Since there are already living beings for these 2 weirdos to eat, when Shen Jie's aura appears, he won't pay too much attention due to his weird intelligence. Shen Zhemo was full of energy, holding the handle of the knife tightly with both hands, and swung the knife sharply at the weird neck with a higher head. With a pop sound, the knife blade was cut in half, and blood spurted out. Shen Jie stepped on that weird back, pulled out the butcher's knife with force, and then struck again. Through these 2 days of fighting, Shen Jie discovered that even level 1 weirdos that could be easily killed with firearms, special equipment had a stronger effect on weirdos than firearms. For example, the tricky cat before was completely killed by the full firepower of the entire combat team headed by Feng Chengshou, plus 2 rockets. But with Shen Jie's current strength, under the condition of controlling the mysterious cat, he can chop off the mysterious cat's head with at most 3 to 5 swords. This is not because Shen Jie is bragging, but when he rescued Shang Mingyue in the old building before, he chopped off the weird head with a few knives, which confirmed the feasibility of this speculation. This time, after 3 stabs, the strange green-eyed head was already shaky, leaving only a small piece of flesh and blood connected to the tendons. Another stab would solve it. But at this moment, something unexpected happened. The person who had half of his head cut off was as weird as a hedgehog. Several half-meter-long bone spurs suddenly shot out from his back. Shen Jie was too close, and one of them just pierced his waist. Feeling the huge pain coming from his waist, Shen Jie's expression twisted. He gritted his teeth, and used all his strength to slash with the knife again, completely cutting off Weird's head. The host successfully kills the level 1 weirdo, and is rewarded with 50 system points x 50. Whether to sell the level 1 weird corpse, price, 200 system points. Weirds all have certain self-healing abilities. When Shen Jie didn't want to deal with another weird, he took the head of this one back and immediately chose to sell it. As the white light appeared, the strange green-eyed corpse disappeared. Shen Jie stepped back and distanced himself from the level 1 black weirdo. He then took out the trick eye and threw it at its back. With a pop sound, the trick eye stuck to the black weird's back. I face. The black weird immediately arched its body and assumed an attacking stance, but it lost its vision due to the influence of the weird eye. It shook its head left and right, trying to catch the target by smell. Due to the weird restrictions of the uncanny eye, Shen Jie simply cancelled his intangibility and stepped back a certain distance while remaining silent. He took out an internal injury healing pill and ate it, then tore off a healing band-aid and applied it to the wound. As a cold feeling spreads in his abdomen, Shen Jie can no longer feel the pain of the wound. The inside of his waist is ice and the outside is hot, and the area where the healing band-aid is stuck is warm. 10 seconds later, Shen Jie tore off the healing band-aid and took a look. The wound the size of his thumb, which was punctured by bone spurs, had healed without leaving even a scar. As Tang Jin said before, if a medical product with this effect is released, it will cause a 10-magnitude earthquake in the entire medical industry and completely change the world's medical landscape. It's a pity that Tang Jin studied internal injury healing pill. This thing is just like an alien product and cannot be analyzed by current technology. After recovering from his injuries, Shen Jie raised his butcher knife, walked around behind the strange black animal, and then slashed at the back of its neck with the knife. One knife. Two knives. Black Weird let out a terrifying roar, but was restricted by the weird eye and lost his vision. Shen Jie also had silence, so he couldn't catch the opponent with just his sense of smell. Half a minute later, the head fell to the ground. The host successfully kills the level 1 weirdo, and is rewarded with 50 system points x 50. Whether to sell the level 1 weird corpse, price, 200 system points. Shen Jie's system points have returned to 4K plus once again, a total of 4,121. In the lottery alone, he can draw more than 40 times, which can replenish a lot of firearms and ammunition. But compared to firearms and ammunition, after learning that deception equipment was more effective against deception than firearms, Shen Jie now just wanted to take advantage of the fire on the other side, and the system quickly brought a box of instant noodles and water, and used the fire to make some instant noodles to eat. The fire in the block opposite was getting bigger and bigger. Shen Jie sucked in the canister and continued to explore the block while taking advantage of the firelight. After walking for almost 6 hours, the situation in the previous block reappeared. Every time you walk a certain distance, you will return to your original position. According to the information currently available, this strange incident is most likely a long-term operation. There is no need to exhaust the high-intensity exploration. So Shen Jie found a dilapidated shop to rest in the area facing the street of the burning zone. This shop seemed to have been a noodle shop before it was swallowed up by the strange space. It's a pity that this place must have been visited many times by the mercenaries before. Not to mention anything edible, not even rotten food can be found. Shen Jie sat down to rest for a while, and then the lottery started again. Although the conditions are poor, you still had to go through the card drawing process. Shen Jie matched himself with the drawing card BGM, and then started drawing. This time it will be 10 companies, ding 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 ding. Congratulations to the host for drawing the F-level recovery item, Spirit Apple, X1. Kong Shui Fu Instant Noodles, X1. Box, F1 Fragmentation Grenade. Explosion Grenade, X3. Ticking Bomb, X1. Free Attributes, 3%. Free Attributes, 2%. Barrel drinking water, X1. Barrel, 18.9 L. Colt M 2000 Pistol X1. Magazine X4. Black Elephant Instant Noodles, X1, box. Haha. It's coming, it's coming. Shen Jie not only got 2 different kinds of instant noodles, but also a bucket of drinking water. Now he won't be hungry in a short time. In addition to food, there are also good things like spiritual apples and time bombs. Shen Jie opened a bag of Kong Shuifu braised beef noodles, boiled hot water, poured it directly into the bag, soaked it, and ate it happily. My good brother, the system, finally got some help. Shen Jie ate instant noodles and glanced at the time on the arm-mounted simple computer in the protective suit. Time had passed since he entered, but during this period he did not hear the system's daily survival message prompts and did not receive any rewards. If the system's time lapse is consistent with the outside time, it means that from the outside it seems that the time he came in is less than 1 day. Although the idea of earning daily survival free attribute rewards in the strange space fell through, according to his agreement with Deng Yuki, at least in the short term, the Special Strategy Department will not send calabash babies in again. Shen Jie emptied 3 bags of instant noodles in a row, then hid the remaining instant noodles in drinking water, then took the explosives he collected and continued exploring the neighborhood. According to previous experience, you need to find out the weirdness that maintains this weird space and kill it before you can break the weird space and enter the next area. Shen Jie originally thought that this process would not take long, but who knew that the search would take 4 whole days. The fire that was set before burned through a block, turning the opposite area into ruins, which was in sharp contrast to the block where Shen Jie was located. In 4 days, Shen Jie turned over the places he could find. Not only could he not find a way out, he couldn't even find any weirdness, not even a first-level weirdness. This is obviously not right. On this day, when Shen Jie was trying to find some clues from the burned-in ruins of the neighborhood, a long-lost system prompt suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for surviving another day in a world full of weirdness. The reward is 1% of freely distributed points and 10 system points. Nearly 6 days have passed in the strange space, and only 1 day has passed outside. Shen Jie added 6% of the free points to mental power, and the total value has reached 241%, getting closer and closer to the level 2 strange energy content. Shen Jie recalled what Fang Mingyue and the mercenaries mentioned before, and then compared his own time passage, and found that his own time seemed to be shorter than theirs. Fang Mingyue entered the strange space for 2 days, but stayed for nearly a month and a half. It is not difficult to see that this should be affected by different regions. In this area where I am, time is slower than in the previous area. But even knowing this doesn't seem to be of much use. If you can't find a way to crack it, you will just be trapped here like those mercenaries. Shen Jie was eating instant noodles. 2 boxes of instant noodles totaled 48 packets. He ate 6 or 7 packets a day, and now there were more than a dozen packets left, but there was not much water left. In addition to instant noodles, I also drank a lot. Shen Jie sighed. He used to dislike getting instant noodles and water, but now he longs for these 2 resources. Just when Shen Jie was thinking about whether to try his luck with another 10 companies, there was a slight sound from the closed rolling shutter door at the door of the noodle shop. Someone is coming in. Shen Jie threw away the dough bag, grabbed the assault rifle on the table and rushed towards the right corner. He leaned against the gun, raised the gun, and looked towards the door through the thermal imaging scope. The people at the door were equally alert, leaning against the wall and maintaining a tactical posture. "Who? Don't be nervous, I don't mean any harm, I just want to find something to eat." The 2 voices sounded at the same time. When they heard each other's voice, they were stunned for a second and blurted out. "Fang Mingyue? Tan Shen?" Shen Jie turned on the tactical flashlight on his assault rifle and shined it towards the door. Fang Mingyue, who was at the door, also turned on the flashlight and shined it towards him. Fang Mingyue glanced to the side with her flashlight, saw the bag of instant noodles on the table, and said, "I was looking for food outside and smelled the smell of instant noodles, so I wanted to come over and see if there was a survivor, but I didn't expect it was you." "Still looking for survivors? What about the ones before, all dead?" Shen Jie asked. Fang Mingyu's face darkened, and she didn't even want to answer Shen Ji's words. After all, the words were too unpleasant, and it felt like he was cursing them to death. Fang Mingyue smelled the smell of instant noodles in the noodle shop, and glanced at the steaming instant noodles bag and the small half bucket of water on the table. She swallowed and her stomach growled a few times. They are all alive, but before you came yesterday, we had been without water and food for a long time. The soldiers who went out to look for food did not come back. I can only let them stay in the house and then go out to look for food. Wait, yesterday? I have been in this area for almost 5 days, so on your side, I just left for a day? Shen Jie asked. So it's been 5 days since you've been here? Fang Mingyu's answer to Shen Jie was not surprising. After all, she had found many survivors before and learned about the different passages of time from their mouths. Fang Mingyue didn't even look at Shen Jie while she was talking. She kept staring at the steaming instant noodles bag on the table. There was still soup flowing out of it. It looked like she hadn't finished eating yet. Did you find these instant noodles in this noodle shop? Fang Mingyue swallowed and asked. So be it. Also, is there any more? Shen Jie walked to the place behind the counter where the instant noodles were hidden, took out a few bags and looked at Fang Mingyue and asked, "Are you hungry? I'll buy you a bag. What flavor do you want?" Fang Mingyue felt so miserable. They were so hungry that they were chewing on their leather shoes, while Shen Jie was free to make instant noodles here. It was so infuriating that they were so hungry. Also, can I still choose the flavor? There are spicy and non-spicy ones. Fang Mingyue said decisively. It's not spicy. Duck soup or chicken stewed with mushrooms. Which one do you want? Shen Jie asked. Fang Mingyue opened her mouth, suppressing her blush, and said, Yes, yes. Duck, can I have both? Hearing this, Shen Jie really didn't hold back, but he didn't know that Fang Mingyue had given almost everything he found to the survivors, and he hadn't eaten anything for 2 or 3 days. Only when you are in the end of the world can you know how precious freedom is. It's no wonder that in those apocalyptic novels, food is often exchanged for people and weapons. Take it. Seeing Fang Mingyu's pitiful look, Shen Jie only gave her 1 bag. She didn't say this in the end, feeling a little angry. Thank you, thank you. Fang Mingyue kept thanking Shen Jie, even more upright than when he saved her from Wei Yi's mouth before. Picking up the instant noodles, Fang Mingyue couldn't wait to open the bag of mushroom and chicken stew, and poured water from the steaming pot next to it. She couldn't help but eat it before it was cooked. In the end, if Shen Jie hadn't been watching from the side, she was afraid that she would have to lick the bag again after drinking the soup. Shen Jie thought she would eat 2 bags in a row, but unexpectedly she put away the bag of old duck soup. Shen Jie frowned slightly and asked, "You're not going to take it back to feed those people, are you?" Fang Mingyue remained silent. How many are left alive? 7. Shen Jie kicked out a box from under the counter, and then pulled out 7 bags of instant noodles from the side. Eat that bag and take these 7 bags away. Ah, yes, is that okay? Fang Mingyue also had some understanding of Shen Ji's behavior since the previous quarrel with Shen Jie in the stairwell over ideological issues. In this resource-scarce environment, she cannot ask Shen Jie to give her a resource as precious as her life to save those survivors. First, Fang Mingyue can have her own persistence, but she cannot use this persistence to morally kidnap Shen Jie into making the same choice as her. Second, she recognized what Shen Jie said before. Shen Jie was capable of solving this strange incident. His life was more important than her own and that of the survivors. So Fang Mingyue did not make trouble unreasonably and asked Shen Jie to allocate more resources to let her go back to rescue people. She just allocated some of them for distribution based on what the other party was willing to give. Perhaps it is because of this interesting aspect that touched Shen Ji's heart. He still has 3,131 system points. Unless the system has a seizure, he can still smoke instant noodles. What's more, 7 bags were given out, and he kept 6 bags for himself. He could survive 3 to 5 days by saving some food. Eat. Shen Jie sighed. Fang Mingyue was deeply moved. A bag of instant noodles didn't fill her stomach much at first, but thinking about those poor survivors, she could only grit her teeth and keep 1 bag. Now that Shen Jie was willing to give him 7 more bags, Fang Mingyue couldn't wait to drink the second bag. ate everything in an instant, and sat on the chair to rest contentedly. I knew that the person who could become an elite agent would never be a cold-blooded person. Actually you are a very good person, Fang Mingyue said. Shen Jie said with a cold face. Don't give me a high hat, this is all you have, and you can only take half of the water. Also, these are all recorded in the account, and you will pay them back slowly after you go out. The grace of saving my life will never be forgotten. As long as there is a place where I, Fang Mingyue, can be used in the future, you can just speak and frown. My life has been wasted, Fang Mingyue said swornly. Oh, there's no need to look forward to it. You are useful now. Come here and learn more about it first, Shen Jie said seriously. Fang Mingyue. What is the in-depth method? Chapter 87. Detective Shen, the future #1 in the Special Strategy Department. Yuzhou Dongyu Village Temporary Headquarters. At this time, everyone in the camp was frowning and their faces were gloomy. The atmosphere in the camp was even more depressing and suffocating than the previous few days. It has been almost 2 days, and there is no news from Shen Jie. 3 technicians each brought a set of signal erection equipment, but none of them succeeded. The latest signaling device developed by Dianzhou on the table, the straight line of death, is still shocking, without even the slightest fluctuation. The elongated beep sound of the signal device struck the heartstrings of everyone present. Every subtle sound affected the nerves of everyone present, filling the camp with an indescribable sense of depression. It's okay if there is no feedback information. The point is that the spread of the mysterious realm has not stopped. In the past 2 days, it has spread by nearly 100 meters. Compared with the spread speed in previous days, it is much faster. According to the feedback from the headquarters, if there is no progress in this strange incident within a week, then we will consider using missiles to attack first. It would be best if it had an effect on strange spaces. If not, then the use of nuclear weapons would also be on the agenda. The beautiful man, who was afraid that the world would be in chaos, learned about this level 4 strange incident because of the strange mercenaries, and has been paying close attention to this incident since then. The Special Policy Department followed several clues, but the news they got shocked the people above them, and they all exclaimed that the beautiful woman was crazy. This time the strange incident at level 4 in Yuzhou may cause the weird secret to be unsuppressed and become known to the world. Beautiful people may use nuclear weapons to suppress this incident. In their view, whether it is nuclear accidents, leaks, etc., these are all commonplace issues after all. However, once the world is informed of the existence of weirdness, and civilians are informed that humans are not the masters of the Blue Star, and that a group of monsters that feed on humans and living creatures appear out of thin air in this world, the resulting panic and turmoil will be overwhelming, out of control. Riots caused by human panic are nothing new in history. He is a beautiful man who has the ability to drop bombs. Do you really have the temperament to start a global nuclear war? No, you are a person who has a big picture view. For the sake of all mankind, you will only find ways to accompany beautiful people to cover up this incident. Deng Yuki has a different view. In the past, humans only had small fights, and it didn't matter how noisy or fighting they were. But now it's different. There's a weird thing about humans being food. Blue Star does not have the peerless strong man in the movie and novel who can break stars with one punch, but only a body of flesh and blood and a variety of advanced weapons and equipment. But when these weapons and equipment are less and less effective against spooks, and even a rocket cannot do as much damage as a steel pipe hit by spooky equipment, kinetic energy weapons and nuclear weapons have become mankind's last trump card. Some people always believe that the use of nuclear weapons is unrealistic, but they have no idea that when humans are in panic, they often do incredible and crazy things. The fundamental problem now is that except for the people who enter the strange space, no one knows what the strange space is like. Are those people who went in before still alive? With a missile coming down, will it blow up the weirdness to pieces, or will it completely make the weird space lose control and accelerate its spread, or will it release the weirdness inside? Not knowing what's going on inside is the scariest problem. It seems that kinetic energy weapons and nuclear weapons have really become the only options. Seventh sister, you were full of confidence in the new members of our department before, but you see, there is no news coming out now, and there is constant pressure from the top. If the motion of kinetic weapons is really past, A few missiles will go down, and those who went in before will, even if those people didn't die at Weiwei's hands, they wouldn't be able to survive. A detective from Dianzhou sighed. Deng Yuki was also very irritable at this time. She wished she could rush directly to Beijing to pick out all those sitting in the office and slap them a few times to wake them up. Are they, the agents, not wanting to solve this incident? Do you really want to hang up on things that have nothing to do with you? It's not fun to stay in the branch, so you come to this wretched place to guard it? Pretty people and those asterisk are used to talking nonsense. I don't believe they dared to cross the border and use nuclear weapons. Are you kidding? Do you really think we are freeloaders? Yes, I can listen to this kind of pressure. Don't take it to heart. Although I don't understand ZZ, I also know that nuclear weapons cannot be taken out casually. Yes, Brother Mao is still watching outside. You see, Brother Mao and the others are fighting fiercely, but they haven't used nuclear weapons yet. How can this thing be used just as it is said to be used? Oh, by the way, did you read the report some time ago? I heard that a large strange creature of level 3 appeared on the battlefield over Brother Mao. It was suspected to be an elephant in its original form. It seemed to be playing with it by stepping on those tanks. In the end, it was hard to resist. Several missiles were fired, and people on both sides couldn't care less about fighting, so they joined forces to get rid of the strange phenomenon. So, I have always felt that it is a good thing that weird things can't be suppressed. Human beings are magical creatures. When there is no common enemy, they will fight among themselves. When there is a common enemy, they will fight against the outside world. Maybe when weird things appear, all mankind will unite to deal with it. Weird. That's not the point. Level 3 weirdos can resist missiles. If the higher authorities really pass the motion to use kinetic energy weapons, if a few missiles don't kill the level 4 weirdos, all the people who will die will be ours. Who will be responsible for this in the future? Are you willing to enter a strange space? Yes, we are working hard inside, but we don't care about our lives outside. Okay, these are just our guesses. Let's stop this topic. If you have time to think about it, why not think about how to solve the strange incident? In the command camp, everyone expressed their opinions one by one. Most people's opinions were that they should ignore the pressure from above and just concentrate on dealing with the weirdness. Compared with these people's concerns, Deng Yuki was more concerned about Shen Ji's safety. She did not want her men to become sacrificial pawns above. It really chills people's hearts. Then she will go back to Rongshi from now on, no matter what the world is like outside. She only cares about her own 1/3 of an acre of land. At this moment, Feng Chengshou rushed into the camp. Report: Director Li of the technical department used a satellite to capture new images in the strange space. Many people in the camp have heard of Li Shang, the youngest PhD in biology in the country. It is said that he was poached by Deng Yuki to the wrong city branch before he even entered the special policy department. There have been several recent research reports on weirdness, and the progress in weirdness research is even greater than the progress made by the headquarters in the past few years combined. The headquarters tried to ask Li Shang back several times, but Deng Yuki stopped him all the time. Everyone who has stayed at the headquarters knows the name of the seventh sister. You dare to rob her people today, and tomorrow she will dare to lift the roof of your headquarters. Bring in the picture. Deng Yuki immediately turned on the computer and established a connection with Li Shang. Soon, the new picture was transmitted. Li Shang passed along several overhead comparison pictures and annotated them with text. Compared with the pictures before Shen Tan entered, I found through picture comparison that although the spread speed of the strange space has not slowed down, the direction of the spread has changed. Before that, the strange space was centered on Dongnu village and spread out in a circle. After Shen Tan entered, the diffusion speed in two directions slowed down significantly. In addition, the pictures taken by satellite before were almost distorted. After analyzing the pictures, I found that there are at least 6 layers of space overlapping together. You can understand it as taking 6 different landscape pictures, and then through computer technology fuses them together. Therefore, according to my inference, there are at least 6 or more weirdos with weird spaces in this weird space, so this situation will occur. After dismantling and recasting the picture, and then comparing the AI-generated pictures with the map of Dongnu village, we found that the entire Dongnu village was divided into 6 areas. However, the division method was not equal. but similar to the age rings of trees. The pattern is the largest in the center and spreads out in circles. To put it simply, after the most powerful level 4 weirdness generated this huge weird space, it contained the weirdness of the weird space and continuously released its ability to generate new spaces. The 6 spaces overlapped and distorted, resulting in the current situation. After Shen Tan entered, the distortion of the images captured by the satellite gradually decreased. After computer analysis, only 3 areas remained out of the original 6 areas. In other words, after Shen Tan entered, he had already solved at least 3 monsters with strange spaces. Weird, if you continue like this, you will soon be able to enter the central area. If Detective Shen successfully enters the central area, it is possible to solve this incident. The above is what I have discovered in the past 2 days. Li Shang's words in the video were like a bomb exploding in the camp. 6 weird ones. 6 strange beings with strange spaces appeared at the same time. No wonder the previous agents and mercenaries disappeared after entering. 6 weird space weirds, which means 1 is at level 4, and 5 are at least level 2 or above. This has never happened before since the weirdness was recorded. It was surprising to learn that 6 animals had strange dimensions, but what shocked everyone present was that the newcomer, who was ordinary except for his appearance, solved it in just 2 days. 3 weird ones with weird spaces. This is weird in itself, right? A female agent from the Qianzhou branch, who was also a little fangirl, who had interned with Deng Yuki at the headquarters for a period of time, swallowed her saliva and said in surprise, "We have to deal with 3 level 2s in 2 days, maybe even level 2 or above of weirdness. Mother, 7th sister, where did you find this monster?" The deputy director of the Dianzhou branch, a polite, bald, middle-aged man with glasses, exclaimed, "Little 7, I don't know where you can find Lin Yin, who is the 2nd level weirdo, but you are doing this again. A seemingly ordinary monster who becomes a sensation as soon as he strikes. Do you still want the people from other branches to live?" Someone echoed, "Yes, what is this man's background? Could he be the product of the headquarters' previous secret plan, a super soldier? Isn't that plan stopped a long time ago? I remember that in the newcomer profile uploaded by the 7th sister, it was mentioned that the handsome guy seems to be a pure newcomer who used to work in an office," the little fangirl said. The deputy director of the Dianzhou branch said with a strange expression, "I have only heard that monsters are prone to appear among college students. Are monsters prone to appear even in offices these days? This Detective Shen is so strong, alas. It's a pity that he was too pressed for time when he came and didn't have a good communication. Yes, you will definitely benefit a lot from communicating with such a strong person. Resolving 3 level 2 weirdos in 2 days, leaving aside the previous level 4 weird incident. I am afraid this has already broken the record of the Special Strategy Department, right? If this can really be solved together with the level 4 weirdness, he will be the first person in the Special Strategy Department. The next generation is to be feared. The next generation is to be feared." Deng Yuki actually didn't feel much when she heard everyone's praise for Shen Zhe, but Li Zhang's discovery and report made her feel relieved. At least it can be seen from this that Shen Zhe is still alive and is working hard to solve this 4th level strange incident, and has achieved great results. At this time, the deputy director of the Dianzhou branch asked, "Xiao 7, it was your people who made the contribution this time. Now it has been proved that the matter is progressing. How about reporting it directly to the headquarters? They know that the matter can be solved, at least. We will not use kinetic weapons to increase the danger to the agents in the strange space." Deng Yuki frowned and thought for a while, then looked at the people in the camp and said, "Since the establishment of the ministry, the 3 southwest departments have supported each other and worked together to get to where we are today, just like a family. Here are my elders and me. During the same period, there were even people I took care of. Today, I, Deng Yuki, am here to implore everyone to keep Shen Ji's matter a secret. If the strange incident is resolved smoothly, the report will say that our 3 southwest departments will work together to organize a team to enter the strange space and cooperate with each other to solve the problem." Event. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. They didn't seem to expect that Deng Yuki would say this. The point is that this is not a way to grab credit. but to equally share the credit for Shen Ji's solution to the strange incident at level 4 to the 3 Southwest departments. Such a good thing. Why? The deputy director of the Dianzhou branch adjusted his glasses, frowned and said, Xiao 7, are you worried that the beautiful country is watching this matter, and Detective Shen will be targeted by them after reporting it? That's right, so when we needed the equipment before, I also told the old man that we have formed an elite combat team here and need 3 pieces of treacherous equipment to supplement it, Deng Yuki said. At this time, someone laughed and said, what can we say about this? You give us the credit. It's too late for us to be happy. Don't worry, Yu Qi. You don't have to believe in Zhao Jing's character, but you have to believe in you, Brother Li, and me. Well, whoever here dares to speak out about Shen Tan, you, Brother Li, will be the first to let him go. TCH, it's like you are the only one who is good at keeping secrets. I, Zhang Yue, promise that I will not tell a word about Shen Tan. Me too. Same. Me too. The deputy director of the Dianzhou branch smiled and said, haha, don't worry, little 7, we are all family members here. Come back, we must introduce Detective Shen to us to solve this incident. Let's have a good drink. Our Dianzhou branch, the people of Guzhou and Shu are famous for their ability to drink well, and they will never return home until they are drunk, ha ha ha. Because of the good news reported by Li Shang, the gloom in the camp was swept away, and it seemed that Shen Jie could solve this 4th-level strange incident. Deng Yuki nodded, turned the laptop to face him, and said to Li Shang in the video, Li Shang, write me a report on the satellite pictures, hide Shen Jie's situation, and tell me about the elite team we sent. We have achieved success. We will focus on the analysis of the mysterious space and have effectively prevented the spread of the mysterious space. Yes. Li responded and turned off the video. Deng Yuki looked at the satellite image played on the projector. After Li Shang marked the original 6 rings with red lines and crossed them with an X, there were still 3 left. According to Li Zhang's inference, as long as Shen Jie continues to go deeper, he should be able to enter the center soon and solve this strange 4th-level incident. However, at this time, a certain young detective whom everyone expected was eating instant noodles in a dark shop and asked a certain female detective to take off her clothes. Chapter 88. Big Brother, is Cthulhu your father? In the dim noodle shop, the light from 2 flashlights intersects, making it possible to see things in the noodle shop with these 2 light sources. At this time, Fang Mingyue was standing in the middle of the shop, half undressed, with an angry look on his face, and the anger in his eyes seemed to be bursting out. Son of a bitch. Beast. Fang Mingyue threw the clothes she took off on the table, then picked up the clothes Shen Jie had prepared for her and put them on, cursing as she put them on. But it can be seen that due to the education she received since childhood, Fang Mingyue only kept those few words over and over again. They were considered curse words, but they were not considered swear words. All dead? When Fang Mingyue asked these 3 words, she could clearly feel that her teeth were about to break, and it was the anger in her heart. Shen Jie sucked on the instant noodles and nodded. They are all dead. One was chewed to death by Wei Yi, one was blown to death by me, and the other, died of excessive bleeding. The 3 people Shen Jie mentioned were the 3 mercenaries from before. He told Fang Mingyue about the disgusting things done by the mercenaries and the unrecognizable soldiers from the Special Strategy Department. To be on the safe side, he asked her to put on those mercenaries' soldiers' clothes. It is best to wear a mask at all times. At the same time, it can be hidden from others, and it can also make the mercenaries lower their guard to a certain extent, giving Fang Mingyue the opportunity to take action first when encountering them. Although those people are not necessarily still alive, 3 of the 13 people died. Among them, 2 agents with deception equipment survived, so they had to be on guard. Shen Jie also didn't want people like Fang Mingyue to regard these beasts as companions, and end up falling into their hands and ending up with the same fate as that corpse. These beasts are not afraid of contracting prions in order to survive. They are not afraid of contracting prions. Fang Mingyue put on her clothes and cursed. Shen Jie drank the soup from the instant noodle bag, threw the bag away, came to the door of the store, and pulled out a box of equipment from under a dilapidated car. These were the equipment of the mercenaries that he had captured before, but there was not much ammunition left, so he hid them all here. Come here and pick some handy ones to replace. Fang Mingyue put on her clothes and walked out. Although her figure was smaller than those of the mercenaries, she could still hide her eyesight after putting on a gas mask. Tisk, these beasts are really well equipped. Fang Mingyue put on the equipment and together with Shen Jie, sent instant noodles back to the survivors. Shen Jie's in-depth understanding of Fang Mingyue was firstly to understand Fang Mingyue's fighting style and combat experience, and secondly to understand the treacherous equipment she carried. Fang Mingyue possesses two pieces of weird energy equipment. One is a weird bone stick made of weird bones. The tip of the skeleton can turn into a cage to tie up the target. Its hardness is higher than steel bars. The second piece is the sneaky skin arm guard, which is made of weird skin. It can release sneaky energy to inflate it. Its defense is several times stronger than ordinary inflatable airbags, and it has a certain self-repair ability. Fang Mingyue majored in the investigation department when she was in the army. She is very experienced in searching for weirdos and finding weirdos. With the help of weirdo equipment, she has successfully captured 2 level 1 weirdos. Shen Jie also analyzed the entire weird space in the past 2 days. According to his guess, in addition to the super large weird space where the 4th level weirdness unfolded, there should be many low-level weirdos with weird spaces here. This led to the overlap of space and space, the confusion of space and time. If you want to leave this area, you can only find out the weirdness that forms this weird space just like you did with the weird teddy before. But whether it was the block where Shen Jie was located or the burning block, he had turned the place upside down in the past few days and could not find any strange traces. Hence, Shen Jie set his sights on Fang Mingyue and the survivors. Of course, he did not tell Fang Mingyue the complete plan. He just told her that there might be other mercenaries here and asked her to be careful of these cannibals. Then, there's the good thing of giving away instant noodles. What Shen Jie had to do was very simple. Let Fang Mingyue return the 7 bags of instant noodles to the survivors, and then help him go to another neighborhood to look for strange traces. Solve the weirdness, break the weird space, and enter the next area. All this sounds very reasonable, but there is only one thing Shen Jie did not tell Fang Mingyue, and that is the ugliness of human nature. The end of the world, an unknown and dangerous future, a gathering place, a group of people, some food, such a plot. If you click on any apocalyptic novel, it will tell you what is about to happen. After Fang Mingyue sent instant noodles and water, she told the survivors not to leave the house and to stay here obediently and wait for her return. Then, Fang Mingyue followed Shen Jie to the next block. Shen Jie's focus in the past few days has been on the block that was half burned by him, thinking that this is the area where Teddy is. Since he has killed Teddy and cracked this area, there should be no more. Only level 2 or higher weirdness with a weird space is appropriate. But when he thought about it later, Shen Jie felt that he had thought wrong, or that he had entered a misunderstanding. This is originally a chaotic space with several overlapping weird spaces. Weird Teddy can overlap with the weird space that does not come out. Why can't other weird spaces overlap with weird Teddy? After meeting Fang Mingyue, Shen Jie had the idea of returning to this area to explore again. So the two began to explore in the opposite direction after Shen Jie discovered Wei Teddy, relying on Fang Mingyue's reconnaissance power to search all the way. The strange thing is that before, I could still see 1 or 2 weirdos on the street from time to time, and even saw Fang Mingyue from the Nightwalker after several hours of searching, not to mention a single weirdo. Even the remaining weirdos were found. It's surprising that we didn't even notice it. Shen Jie thinks this is not a good sign. There are only 2 possibilities for such a situation. One is that these weird things wander to other areas, and the other, these weirdos have become the food for a certain weirdo. According to the weird GU raising characteristics, there is a high probability that a weirdie of level 2 or above will be born. No matter how many weird things come up at level 1, you won't be afraid. With the butcher's knife in hand, the most you can do is raise the knife and lower it with your hand, slashing from Nantianmen to Peng Lai East Road. Level 2 weirdness is a bit tricky, not to mention the possibility of transforming to level 3. Shen Jie currently has too few methods to deal with high-level weirdness, otherwise he would not let Fang Mingyue follow him. The two of them continued walking deeper down the block for almost 2 hours, and found that they had circled back to the intersection where Shen Jie had killed Teddy. Oh, I can't get out as expected. I have tried to find a way out before. But the result is basically the same, and I will eventually return to the starting point. I didn't expect that the small strange space also follows the fact that the blue star is round. Fang Mingyue said with a wry smile. Apparently the feeling of not being able to get out had made her a little numb. For people like her, the joke in their words is not optimism, but real disappointment, and even a tendency to give up on themselves. Don't be discouraged. At least we are now able to confirm that there is another level 2 or above weird creature here. As long as we find it and kill it, we can successfully crack the weird space. Shen Jie consoled him. Fang Mingyue didn't know how to answer these words for a moment, because Shen Jie's tone sounded like killing a level 2 weirdo was as simple as eating. Fang Mingyue held it in for a long time before saying, it could also be level 3. I hope you are not poisoned milk. Shen Jie was saying this when he faintly heard screams, howls, and calls for help coming from the old building in the distance. No, something happened to those people, damn it, as expected. These people will always cause trouble if no one is watching. Fang Mingyue immediately rushed towards the old building. Shen Jie sighed. Human nature is something that cannot withstand the test. If these survivors follow Fang Mingyu's instructions and stay in the building and do nothing, then there is a high probability that they will be safe. However, they chose the most common plot in doomsday novels, bullying the weak and competing for resources. After being hungry for a few days, instant noodles became the trigger. Scramble, quarrel, fight, run away, leave the old building, make all kinds of noises, and then attract the weird things lurking in the dark. What Shen Jie is more concerned about is where this weird one was hiding before. Why can't even a person like Fang Mingyue, who is good at investigation, find any clues? The two returned to the block where the old building was located. When they were more than 10 meters away, they could vaguely see a squid monster, covered with tentacles coming from the sewer using the dark red moonlight and the beam of a flashlight that fell to the ground in front of the building. A 4 to 5 meter tall body and dozens of tentacles squeezed out of it. Some tentacles are wrapped around people or human limbs, hands, half-body, feet, or heads, as if a complete person has been torn into pieces by these tentacles. Then, it stuffed these tentacles into its mouth one by one. This big brother is so unique looking. Could it be that your father's surname is K? Shen Jie saw the indescribable-looking squid monster and its body that was mostly in the sewer. He finally understood why the block was turned upside down during this period. I couldn't find him even if I looked up in the sky, and the others were not even on the ground. Warn. The host is currently locked by level 2 weirdness. With the host's current rating and attributes, it is difficult to compete with it. Please cherish your life and don't seek death. Leave the area quickly and escape the weird pursuit. Difficult to compete with? That means you have a head start? Do it. Having a system to cheer Shen Jie on, he also felt confident in his heart. A scumbag who didn't even have a narrow escape obviously wouldn't be very effective in combat. Shen Jie was still reviewing and evaluating the strength of the squid. Fang Mingyue was worried about the safety of the survivors, so she rushed back first, took out a fist-sized metal ball, threw it towards the squid's eyes, and then threw it into a wall. Take shelter behind the wall. The metal ball that was thrown in front of the squid suddenly emitted a burst of bright light, making the area near the old building seem to have entered daylight for a moment. The strong light caused the squid to temporarily lose its vision, and many of its tentacles retracted back, forming a wall of tentacles around its face. Some of the tentacles that retracted from the old building also caught up several survivors. They screamed, struggled, cried, and asked for help. However, they saw that the tentacles exerted force and squeezed the person's juice with a pop, and blood was like raindrops. It fell down, turning the survivors wrapped in the tentacles into ****** men. The middle-aged man below who was caught by the tentacles had only fear and regret in his eyes. After a pack of half-cooked instant noodles, he was still hungry. His desire for food made him lose his mind and he would not hesitate to ***** other people's food. Then he ran out of the building regardless of Fang Mingyu's warning. They had a conflict in front of the building. They quarreled, fought, and screamed. Together with the breath of life forms, they attracted the monsters lurking in the sewers. However, there is no regret medicine in this world. Seeing the others being dismembered and devoured by the squid one by one, he knew that he would also fall into the same fate. At this moment, Fang Mingyue took out his grappling gun, pointed it at the edge of the balcony of the two-story building behind Squid, and fired, and the rope instantly pulled her into the air. Fang Mingyue put away the grappling hook gun in the air, took out the bone stick and released the ghost energy, turned into a huge skeleton and covered the squid's head. She held the handle of the bone stick tightly and swung herself towards the squid, and then pulled out the hired weapon. The soldier's saber, which was more than a foot long, struck at the tentacle that was enveloping the survivor. Poof! The saber slashed at the tentacles of the squid, but it was unable to move forward even after cutting in half an inch. You must know that this is an exquisite saber that can cut iron as well as mud. It can be used to chop rocks, but it can't cut a piece of flesh. The tentacles show how ridiculously hard this squid is. At this moment, a tentacle shot from the side and rolled up Fang Mingyue. She suddenly felt a huge force wrapping herself up, and the next second she would be twisted into a pulp like a towel. Suddenly, a cold light appeared. With a swish sound, a cold butcher knife flew out from below and cut off the tentacles of the strange squid directly in the air. As the tentacles of the squid were cut off, Fang Mingyue fell to the ground from a height of several meters with a thud. The pain made her vision go dark and she almost fainted. At the same time, the butcher's knife cut off the tentacles of the squid and then bounced off the outer wall of the old building. It landed not far away from Fang Mingyue. With a crack sound, most of the blade was inserted into the ground. This is really like cutting iron like clay. The strength of the fall alone can pierce the concrete road. I'm afraid it can be used to peel a saber like peeling an apple. Shen Jie walked to Fang Mingyue and stretched out his hand to pull her up. Are you okay? It's okay, this knife. Fang Mingyue has never seen such a sharp knife. It can cut off the weird tentacles casually. Only equipment with weird energy can do it. I used to butcher pigs, so it's reasonable to carry a butcher's knife with me, right? Shen Jie didn't know Qigong, let alone wielding a knife with Qi, so he could only bend down and pull the butcher's knife out of the ground. Slaughter, pig killer? Doesn't the profile say designer? Obviously, Shen Jie didn't expect that Fang Mingyue would take his joke seriously, but what the two of them were most concerned about right now was how to deal with this huge second-level weirdo. Lend me the grapple gun. Shen Jie stretched out his hand towards Fang Mingyue. Fang Mingyue handed the grapple gun to Shen Jie without any hesitation. Shen Jie took a look at it and joked, "The same model as Ada?" Huh? Fang Mingyue looked confused. Before she could ask what Ada was, she saw Shen Jie raise his grappling gun, aim at the squid's face and shoot. Hey, that's not how the grapple gun is used. Fang Mingyue was shocked. Chapter 89. Detective Shen is truly a god. Bang. The hook of the grapple gun directly hit the tentacles of the squid in front of its face. Fang Mingyue's face changed drastically when she saw this. She was about to tell Shen Jie to throw away the grapple gun, but she saw that the squid made a move first. With a flick of his tentacle, he directly raised the rope of the grappling hook gun and took Shen Jie flying out. Woohoo, take off! Shen Jie was taken out and did not panic. Instead, he felt excited as if he was playing an extreme sport. Is this man a madman? Fang Mingyue only had this thought in her mind at this time, but she couldn't just watch Shen Jie send himself to death. She judged Shen Jie's possible landing point and rushed towards it. Just when Fang Mingyue wanted to release the inflatable airbag with the Gipi arm guard to catch the falling Shen Jie, she suddenly found that the Gipi arm guard on her arm was missing. Where is my sneaky arm guard? At this time, he saw Shen Jie being carried out by the tentacles and about to hit the old building. As soon as he raised his hand, his right arm exploded a giant inflatable airbag, which bounced on the outer wall of the old building, knocking him away, to the back of the squid's head, and then hit the butcher's knife on the back of its head. As Shen Jie fell, the butcher knife opened a vertical line on the back of the squid's head, and a large amount of black blood spurted out. My sly arm guard? When did he? Ah, it was that time. Fang Mingyue was still surprised at how her sneaky arm guard got into Shen Jie's body. She suddenly thought that when Shen Jie pulled her up just now, she touched her arm with her hand. She thought it was an accidental touch, plus her attention. I didn't pay much attention to the squid. After all, Shen Jie couldn't take advantage of her at this time. Who would have thought that her sneaky arm guard would be taken away? After Shen Jie landed on the ground, he jumped again, and with the help of the squid's shoes, he jumped to a height of several meters again. But the squid seemed to not be able to see him, and the tentacles around his body were waving randomly. Shen Jie was not in a hurry, and calmly used the cloak sword technique to chop randomly. Every time a tentacle came into contact with the blade, blood flowers exploded. The tentacle broke with a sound and fell to the ground, like a gecko with its tail cut off. More than a dozen tentacles are shaking constantly, which looks very weird. Although Fang Mingyue wondered why the squid seemed to be blind after Shen Jie took action, she was more worried about Shen Jie's safety. Tan Shen, what can I do for you? Fang Mingyue chased to the old building and shouted loudly as she looked at Shen Jie, who was jumping up and down to kill the weird people with the help of a grappling hook gun and sneaky shoes. Shen Jie swung the pig-killing knife while replying, "Stand away. This weird black blood has a very strong magic power. You don't have a magic protective suit, so it may have some effects on your body." Fang Mingyue did not expect such a critical moment. What Shen Jie thought of was not asking her to help, but instead worrying about her safety. I couldn't help but regret my previous misunderstandings and suspicions about Shen Jie, as well as saying that he was cold-blooded and ruthless, and felt extremely guilty. Tan Shen is such a talkative person. He says he doesn't care about the survivors, but he is always on the front line whenever something strange happens. Alas. I even doubted Tan's character before. Me? Fang Mingyue blamed herself in her heart, thinking that Shen Jie was fighting on the front line, and she couldn't hold him back. Fang Mingyue planned to take the opportunity to move the survivors, but looking around, there were no survivors. There were blood, internal organs, and limbs all over the floor. Even if they couldn't find 7 survivors, they would be close. Fang Mingyue was filled with grief. You people. It would be great if you just obey Shen Tan's instructions and stay in the house. Why would you do such a stupid thing and die in vain? At this time, Shen Jie was still fighting with the squid. It's not that he doesn't want Fang Mingyue to help, it's just that the other party has 2 pieces of squid equipment, one of which turns into a skeleton and tightly covers the squid's head, and the other is worn on his arm. Fang Mingyue was left with only flesh and blood. Faced with such an intensity of strangeness, not only could she not be able to help, but she might also end up with the same fate as those survivors. Furthermore, at this time, most of the dozens of tentacles of the squid were cut off by Shen Jie, which greatly reduced its combat effectiveness. Shen Jie also wanted to find an opportunity to retrieve the sly eye attached to its head. As early as the first time he used the grapple gun to take off, Shen Jie attached the invisible eye to the squid's head to interfere with the opponent's vision. Without vision, the squid can only rely on the touch of its tentacles, but no matter how hard the squid's tentacles are, they are still flesh and blood, and they are like paper in front of the indestructible butcher's knife. Detective Shen, the squid has a strong ability to heal itself. Look at those tentacles. Fang Mingyue, who was hiding by the wall and observing, noticed that the tentacles chopped off by Shen Jie did not die. Instead, they were as strong as the gecko's tail. It bounced on the ground, and when it touched the body of the squid, it was absorbed back by it. At this rate, no matter how much Shen Jie cuts off, as long as the tentacles that hit the ground are not completely dead, they will grow back when they finally touch the body. Obviously Shen Jie has noticed this now, but currently he has no better solution to the squid's ability to heal quickly. At this time, Shen Jie noticed that half of the squid's body was still crowded in the sewer. What's in the sewer? Except for mermaids, that's a lot of swamp gas. Many naughty children like to set off firecrackers through the small holes in the manhole covers, and then they can experience the joy of people and manhole covers going up to the sky side by side, which shows how terrifying the power of detonating methane gas is. Shen Singer currently has several blaster pistols, 3 explosive grenades, an F1 fragmentation grenade, and a high-power time bomb. If there is also biogas in the sewers here, then all it takes to detonate it is a small cannon. It just so happens that Shen Singer has 3 large ones. Shen Song held the grapple gun and shot at the squid's head again, but this time the target was not the squid, but the skeleton cage covering its head. After the hook entangled the skeleton cage, Shen Jie grabbed the grappling gun and shook it at the telephone pole on the side, trapping the squid in place. Then he dashed towards the entrance of the sewer, dodged several tentacles, and flew to the wellhead. He took out a blasting grenade, pulled out the tab, and threw it into the well. Then he turned his body and stood up like a carp. The moment his feet hit the ground, he jumped directly to the roof of the second floor opposite. Boom! A pillar of fire exploded from the sewer, engulfing most of the squid's body. As the explosive grenade exploded and detonated the marsh gas, the ground of the entire block rolled, and the airwaves came one after another. As the fire wave swallowed up the squid, Shen Jie, in line with the principle of taking advantage of your illness to kill you, jumped towards the squid again, pulled off the explosive grenade ring, and made a precise shot. The bomb fell into the skeleton cage, just in time, falling into the crevices full of fleshy folds of the squid. Boom! The squid was blown to the ground, but the fire was too fierce and Shen Jie couldn't get close. It wasn't until the fire was reduced by the flapping of more than a dozen tentacles that Shen Jie seized the opportunity to rush forward again. Chop! 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 Until this moment, Fang Mingyue in the distance firmly believed that Shen Jie was a butcher. After all, without 10 or 8 years of experience as a butcher, it would be difficult for him to wield the butcher's knife so freely. Shen Jie used the skill of chopping meat to find the tricky eyes on the top of the squid's head and closed it, then chopped the squid's head into squid sauce. The host has both wisdom and courage, single-handedly kills level 2 weirdos, and is invincible. Reward system points x100, random F level supplies x1. Do you want to withdraw the reward? No. Whether to sell level 2 weird corpses. Selling price, 500 system points. For sale. 600 system points were obtained, and this time Shen Jie used 2 blasting grenades, which almost reduced the cost to the minimum, making a big profit. Tisk, tisk. It turns out that the Gui Neng equipment is really useful. Shen Jie waved the pig-killing knife and shook off the blood on it. The knife was not stained with blood. When King Ni came, he had to praise it as a peerless knife. Fang Mingyu's sight was blocked by the fire, and she could only see the strange squid engulfed in the fire. Then Shen Jie took advantage of the fire to reduce the intensity and rushed to chop the meat. She was unable to help, and she did not dare to go up and cause trouble. Unexpectedly, the fire here was getting bigger and bigger, and she was forced behind the wall. After that, only a white light appeared in the fire, and then Shen Jie walked out of the sea of fire holding a butcher knife. Tan Shen, is this solved? Fang Mingyue was surprised. She recalled what Shen Jie said before. She wanted to complain about Shen Jie before, saying that solving the second-level weirdness is as simple as eating and drinking water. Now it seems. Others really he has such ability, it is not an exaggeration at all. Well, it's solved. Shen Jie nodded. Look at this calm tone, it's as simple as eating and drinking. Shen Tan is truly a man of God. Sigh. It's a pity that those survivors, none of them survived. Fang Mingyue let out a long sigh. If she had believed in Shen Jie more and warned the survivors more, perhaps the ending would have been different. Thinking of those survivors, Fang Mingyue felt a little heavy. From dozens of lives to a dozen, and finally to 7, I couldn't save any of them. Sure enough, compared with Detective Shen, I was still far behind. Fang Mingyue made up her mind to take Shen Jie as her goal from now on, study hard and make progress, hoping that one day she would be qualified to stand behind Shen Tan and look up at his majestic body. Shen Jie always felt that something was wrong with the way Fang Mingyue looked at him. Could it be that when she used the tricky arm guard before, she took it for granted? Honestly speaking, Fang Mingyue is on the thin side, as skinny as a stick, and her hands feel a bit tingly when touched. And the hand feel is really not that good. It would be unfair if she was regarded as taking advantage of her. Well, the situation was urgent just now, I can explain it, Shen Jie said. Fang Mingyue stood up straight and said in a serious tone. I understand that Tan Tan doesn't need to take it to heart if something unexpected happens. Don't say it's just for use. As long as Tan Tan likes it, it's okay for you to use it. Shen Jie. What do I want your hands to do? It's not like I don't have hands. From now on, wherever our Fang Mingyue is needed, Shen Tan, just ask, and I will do my best to cooperate. I just hope that Shen Tan can let me stay with you and have more opportunities to learn, Fang Mingyue said seriously. Study? What to study? Shen Jie looked strange. Fang Mingyue said, as long as it is the knowledge imparted by Shen Tan, I will study it seriously. What posture can I teach you? Well, forget it. Let's not talk about this first. Once this weird one dies, I believe this layer of weird space has also been broken. Next, I will look for other weird ones, as well as the place where the 4th level weirdness is. A strange building. What about you? Will you go with me or stay here to look for survivors? Shen Jie asked. Fang Mingyue thought for a while and then replied, I am willing to follow Shen Tan. I figured it out. Shen Tan, you are right. No matter how many survivors I can save now, as long as the weird problem of level 4 is not solved for one day, it will be just a matter of time. Just take a breath for the time being. As long as this crisis is resolved, the survivors hiding in the dark can be saved. Rather than bringing them together and causing quarrels and fights at some point, it is better to let them continue to hide alone. Shen Jie had a childish expression on his face, patted Fang Mingyue on the shoulder, and said sincerely, it's good if you can figure it out. Thanks to Shen Tan for your guidance, otherwise I would still be trapped in the perception of my own insignificance. With Shen Tan as an example in the future, I will never make this mistake again, Fang Mingyue said with a serious expression. What did I teach you? Forget it, just be happy. Fang Mingyue retrieved the bone stick from the ruins, and Shen Jie returned the bone arm guard and grappling gun to her. The two took a short rest and walked towards the block where the ghost beating the wall appeared before. Along the way, Shen Jie didn't know how Fang Mingyue suddenly became his obedient student. He had to think about the profound meaning behind every casual joke. Even an action or a bit of experience would be engraved in his heart. Get paper and notes and take notes. Fang Mingyue scanned the miniature version of the occult energy detector, looked at the data displayed on it and said, Detective Shen, after you killed the level 2 occult squid, the occult energy is no longer detectable around here. According to the previous situation, just go 100 meters further, turn that corner, and you'll be able to enter the next neighborhood. Shen Jie nodded, with a strange expression on his face. He was wondering if Fang Mingyue might have lost his brain after the fall. Why did he change his attitude completely? It seemed as if her height in her heart had risen to the level of heroes of the older generation like Section Chief Chen and Mr. He of the Special Policy Department. Ding! Congratulations to the host for surviving another day in a world full of weirdness. The reward is 1% of freely distributed points and 10 system points. The system prompt sounded, which meant that Shen Jie had been in the strange space for nearly 8 days, and 48 hours had passed outside. Shen Jie is worried that the outside world will not get any information about him, so he will continue to let people in to die, or he will take some extreme measures, such as clearing the ground with artillery fire. At that time, if he did not die in the hands of weird, but died under the bombing of his own people, then he would really have died unjustly. I believe that Deng Yuki will definitely buy time for him, but after all, she is not the only one who has the final say in the Special Strategy Department, let alone the matter of mercenaries. The beautiful people have been watching, and with the grievances between the two countries, she will continue to do things to the great heaven, pressure. How long Deng Yuki can bear the pressure is a big question. Well, the most troublesome thing now is that the building wrapped in the dark mist cannot be seen at all within the field of vision, which means that they have not reached the central area yet. If you don't even know where is, how can you talk about solving it? Fang Mingyue noticed Shen Jie's expression darkened, and couldn't help but ask, Detective Shen, did you find something else? Something weird? Naturally, Shen Jie would not tell Fang Mingyue what he was worried about, so he said casually, I just think that the calmer it is, the easier it is for weird things to appear. You mentioned before that you have seen hundreds of weird things appear at the same time, but now they have disappeared without a trace. If they become food for other weirdness, I am afraid that they can feed a weirdness no less than level 4, and then there will be 2 level 4 weirdness in this space. When Fang Mingyue heard this, her expression suddenly darkened, and she sighed in her heart, as expected of Shen Tan. He is so far-sighted. When she saw hundreds of weird things before, she was only shocked by their number. But Shen Tan was thinking about, will there be more powerful weirdness after they disappear? The most important thing is that Shen Tan actually remembered what he said casually in the past, paying attention to the strange trends at all times, and planning far-sightedly without leaving out the details. This is the style of a general. What Detective Shen is talking about is the latest report from Director Li of the Technical Department of Rong City Branch not long ago. Weirds can accelerate their evolution by swallowing the same kind. From this point of view, if hundreds of weirds are swallowed by the same weird, it is really possible for them to evolve into high-level weirdness. I wonder what Shen Tan can do to deal with it, Fang Mingyue asked carefully. Good strategy? I have a kun. This level 4 weird one is enough to give people a headache. If there are 2 of them, unless they fight on their own, there will be. Huh? This seems to be a solution? Chapter 90. Heroes always appear at critical moments. Dongyu Village has always been known as the Mountain Wall Village. The name comes from the fact that many buildings are built against the mountain. However, Dongyu Mountain, which was once lush and green with greenery, now seems to have been burned by a mountain fire. The entire mountain was left with only dead wood and charred wood, and was filled with thick black mist. The tallest and largest comprehensive building in Dongyu Village is half built into the mountain, but now the building is wrapped in black mist, as if most of the mountain is filled with dark clouds. And the black mist that fills the mountain is the strange energy floating in this building. It can wrap the entire building with strange energy and fill most of the mountain, which shows how terrifying the strangeness in the building is. These strange powers are not only the manifestation of strange strength, but also the basis for maintaining the entire strange space. People trapped in the strange space have various hallucinations, and ghosts break walls because they are affected by these strange powers. In the supermarket opposite the Ginning building, 4 white men in camouflage were sitting at the table, eating food they found in the supermarket. These 4 people are the survivors of the 13 anti-deception mercenaries, 2 anti-deception agents, and 2 elite warriors. This is the 3rd strange space area they entered. The first was the underground parking lot, where 2 of them successfully met. After breaking out together, they met 2 other people in the 2nd strange space. Then the 4 of them explored all the way and fought with a level 2 weird creature in that neighborhood for several days before finally killing it and cracking the weird space. The 4 people were very lucky. After coming out of the 2nd strange space, they entered the central area controlled by the 4th level strange, not out. Here, they were trapped for more than a month. Fortunately, the passage of time in this neighborhood was much slower than in other strange spaces. The surrounding shops were only abandoned for a year or 2, and most of the food in the shops was still there. You can eat it, at least you won't run out of water or food. But just a week ago, an old man entered the central area with a little yellow hair, and that was all. He also brought a dozen civilians with him. Trapped in a strange space, no one knows when they can get out. One more person and one more mouth means that the resource consumption in the central area will be accelerated. The level of neglect here is only 1 or 2 years, but except for some canned food with a long shelf life, most of the food has also accelerated decay due to the passage of time. The most important thing is that the old man is not only terribly strong, he also has no good impression of these mercenaries, and they always get into fights every time they meet. Of the 2 agents on the mercenary side, one was seriously injured and lost his arm, and the other's treacherous weapon was destroyed, and his combat effectiveness was greatly reduced. If not, they wouldn't have to risk running to the nearest supermarket to the Ginning building to take shelter. Captain William, that old man is biting us like a mad dog and won't let go. If we continue like this, there is no solution. We have to find a way, said the bald man who was the most slender among the 4. The man called Captain William looks a bit like Dolph Lundgren, with blonde hair and a resolute face, but his entire right arm is missing, and the bandage tied to his shoulder is still soaked with blood. He just heard him say in a deep voice, "No matter how powerful the old man is, there are only 2 of them. The rest are civilians. They always want to protect the civilians. If we attack those civilians, they will naturally not be able to take care of themselves. Beast, control your lower body, if not if you try to attack those women, You won't have a grudge with the old man. Don't forget, our goal is to leave this ghost place alive with the strange corpse. After the thing is done, won't 100 million be enough for you to find a woman? Sorry, Captain, this time it's my problem. I've been chased by those monsters for more than half a month, so I just wanted to vent my anger," said the thin middle-aged man next to William. Fuck. William cursed. As a senior spy agent, he knew that in a strange space full of weirdness, everyone had to endure horrific oppression every day, and everyone had a different way of venting. Beasts like women and artillery like to have sex. In the true sense of the word, cannon fire is like blowing up a street at every turn. The man known as the Beast then said, "Captain, I think that old man has always wanted to enter the Ginning building. How about we ambush nearby? If they want to enter, they must place the civilians outside. When the time comes, we will take the opportunity to attack the civilians. Catch him off guard." "That's it." William nodded, looked at the bald man beside him and asked, "Cannon, how many explosives do you have on your body? Let me place them near this store. Then I'll treat them to a good meal." "There are 7 more, and they can even tear down this street," the big bald man said with a smile. As soon as everyone gathered together, they began to arrange the surroundings. The degree of space and time confusion in the central area is not as great as that of several overlapping spaces outside. Time passes much slower, and there is a short day. Humans prefer to act during the day than at night. At this time, an old man in his 60s or 70s with gray hair and a stooped body was looking for food in the shops on both sides of the street with a young man with yellow hair and a dozen civilians. He is one of the most senior spooky agents in Beijing City. He and his 2 apprentices, Fang Mingyue and Luo Chengguang, were responsible for this level 4 spooky incident. But their goal is not to solve this strange incident, but to find the missing counterattack agents as much as possible and take them out safely. As someone who experienced the first level 4 weird incident in the country that year, he knew how terrifying level 4 weirdness was, so his goal this time was very clear, which was to find people and collect as much information as possible. To completely solve the strange incident at level 4, we must master complete intelligence and mobilize the strength of the whole country to deal with it. Unfortunately, not only was the missing counterattack agent not found, but 2 apprentices were lost. Fortunately, after solving a level 2 strange creature, Lao entered another strange space and found Luo Chengguang. However, more than a month later, he was a little worried about the missing Fang Mingyue. Although Fang Mingyue is an anti-terrorist agent, he worked with He in the first few operations. Because of his family background, he has always been well protected by him. Her abilities may be okay, but she lacks experience in dealing with monsters. It is hard to say whether she can survive in this doomsday-like environment. Although He failed to find Fang Mingyue in more than a month, he found many missing civilians from Dongyu village and 2 soldiers from the Yuzhou branch. Everyone formed a team and tried to find an exit, but after experiencing so many things during this period, even the civilians following behind knew that it was not easy to get out. Fear and depression enveloped the entire team like a haze, making everyone breathless. The short daylight in Dongyu village only lasts a few hours. Due to the influence of the strange space, the entire space is chaotic. Sometimes when walking on the east side of the street, I end up on another street in the village without realizing it. It's like tearing the map of Dongyu village into pieces and then pieced it back together haphazardly. Hey, we're at Bailing Street again. We were still at Sawuko just now, and they said that there's a snack street further ahead, and you can always find something to eat. A middle-aged man complained. The fat woman walking next to him replied, "What can I do? It's been 2 months and you haven't gotten used to it yet. You can't get out anyway." "Don't talk nonsense, it's only been more than half a month since I met a ghost and hit the wall. Alas, it makes no difference. I can't get out anyway," the man complained. The conversation between the 2 resonated with the aborigines of Dongyu village, and all of them complained. Luo Chengguang, a young man with blonde hair and short hair, shouted dissatisfied. "Enough. Complaining and complaining every day will shake the morale of the army on the battlefield. Do you want me to find a needle to sew your mouth shut? If anyone dares to say nonsense again, I will kick you out of the team, believe it or not?" The 2 people who complained at the beginning knew that without this young man and Lao, they would have been eaten by those monsters long ago, so they did not dare to offend him and quickly shut up. The deserted streets were quiet, and there was a sense of gloominess everywhere. Something's wrong. He stopped with a bone crutch and glanced around. His sensitivity to danger made him feel that something might happen if he continued walking. Morning light, you and the two soldiers Xiao Zhang and Xiao Li hide in a nearby shop. I'll go to the front first and take a look, Hilao said. Luo Chengguang said, Teacher, I will go with you. No, you stay here to protect them. Hilao shook his head. But, follow the command. Is teacher. Luo Chengguang nodded, turned around and asked the two soldiers to lead everyone into a hardware store on the street. At this moment, a civilian noticed a spoof cardboard box at the door of a store next to the hardware store, with a can with the lid half pulled off. Cans? Hey, there are cans. The man suddenly smiled and rushed towards the cardboard box. Thinking that if he didn't finish the can, he would stuff it all in his mouth before anyone else came over. You are still hungry, so you can't take something from his mouth to eat, right? Hey, stop! Soldier Xiao Zhang immediately stepped forward to pull the man back. After all, the first rule of action in a strange space is to first confirm whether there is any strangeness in every corner before taking action. The store hasn't been investigated yet, so it would be dangerous to rush over there if something strange happens. The man didn't care what Xiao Zhang said, he only had eyes for the can. He rushed over and grabbed the can. When he saw that there was half lunch meat in it, he burst into laughter. Haha, there's something to eat, there's something to eat. He grabbed the can, dug out the meat and stuffed it into his mouth, but he didn't notice that there was a string tied under the can. Hello. Xiao Zhang was about to pull the man back into the team when something unexpected happened. There was a soft, click, sound from the cardboard box, followed by a boom sound, exploding, and the man eating the can was blown to pieces on the spot. He followed behind. Xiao Zhang was also affected and was blown away. Ah! Help! Ah! The explosion immediately caused panic. The civilians fled in all directions, hiding in shops or running behind Mr. He. Xiao Li rushed up to check Xiao Zhang's injury, while Mr. He and Luo Chengguang looked around cautiously. The next second, gunfire rang out. The mercenaries lurking around the streets opened fire at the same time. Their targets were not Hilao and Luo Chengguang, but the civilians. Civilians far away from Hilao were the first to be hit by bullets, and their wails and screams resounded throughout the streets in an instant. Some people fled into the shops on both sides of the street, but once again triggered the trap set by the mercenaries, explosions, gunshots, and screams, which became a one-sided massacre. Hilao also responded immediately. He pressed his bone-shaking staff, and a black light spread out where the bones connected with the ground, creating 4 walls of bones to envelop him and the people around him. The bullets from submachine guns and assault rifles struck the bone wall with a metallic collision sound, as if they were hitting not the bones, but the shell of the tank. This is the reason why the mercenaries did not choose to attack Mr. He. Not only did he have a bone staff to release a fortress-like bone wall, but he also had some kind of equipment that could absorb bullets hitting his body. With this piece of treacherous equipment has escaped William's sniping attacks several times. But the mercenaries had a way to deal with this. Except for the civilians who were killed at the beginning, and even the seriously injured Xiao Zhang, they did not kill him. But they fired one shot at a time, hitting the hands and feet, but not the fatal parts. The streets were filled with the screams and wails of the people. What they wanted was to lure Hilao and others to give up their defense and save people. Hilao and others were trapped in the middle of the street, and they did not dare to move towards the buildings on both sides of the street, because those who tried to run into the store caused another explosion. It can be seen that these mercenaries planted a lot of explosives around them. No one dares to enter the store without checking. Morning light, can you find their location? Hilao asked. Luo Chengguang's weird energy glasses can capture weirdness and weird energy. Although these 4 mercenaries are humans, 2 of them carry weird energy equipment. Although the trick energy equipment of one of them was destroyed by Hilao, the other party did not throw it away directly. As long as there was residual trick energy on him, he could capture it through the trick glasses. Luo Chengguang put on a pair of unique shaped glasses. There seemed to be flesh on the bone frames that had not been shaved off. He looked very disgusting, and just after he put on his glasses, a small piece of meat residue turned into black smoke and floated in front of the two frames. Then, Luo Chengguang's vision changed. He saw two faint groups of black mist on the second floors of two shops on both sides of the street directly in front. Teacher, more than 10 meters ahead. There is the sixth shop on the left, the fifth shop on the right, on the second floor, too personal. Mr. He nodded, looked through the bone wall to the street behind, and said solemnly, "There are two more people hiding behind. They deliberately let us in and double-teamed us front and rear. Damn it, if the sneaky glasses didn't need to be recharged, I wouldn't have fallen into their trap if I could have warned them all the time," Luo Chengguang said angrily. "It's useless to say this now. We have to find a way to avoid the ambush in one direction. Everyone, keep up and don't be more than 2 meters away from me." Mr. He walked forward on crutches. With every step he took, the bone wall followed. His movement moves forward a certain distance as a whole. But this is not the first time that the mercenaries have fought against He Lao. They have figured out the effect of this bone wall. He Lao and the others move forward, and they also move back. The people in the rear continued to shoot at the civilians, wailing, screaming, begging for help, and constantly torturing He Lao and Luo Chengguang. The two of them did not dare to save people at all. First, because the distance between those people was too wide, and the space of the bone wall was limited. It could accommodate up to 6 or 7 people crowded together at the same time, and no more could be accommodated. Second, once you rescue people at this time, you may give the other party an opportunity. Once the bone wall is broken, more people will die. Unable to approach the mercenaries and unable to save the injured, He Lao's heart sank to the bottom. Suddenly, the window on the second floor directly in front suddenly shattered, and a figure fell directly from the upstairs. It was the captain of the mercenary team, William. "Captain." The beast in the building opposite was about to ask William what happened, when he heard a whoosh, and a rocket was fired from the building where William was and flew towards him. As the rockets flew out, a very excited voice sounded. "Yeah, RPG. If it can't kill weirdos, it can't kill people?" Boom. Although Beast reacted to the sound, his movements were still a little slow. The rocket shot out of the window and exploded, and the huge impact directly knocked him out. At this time, Mr. He saw a minion jump out of the window of the building where William was before, and rushed towards William in the middle of the street. Without saying a word, he held a Colt M2000 pistol and blew off William's head. "Who is this?"